when I'm 90.
When I'm 90.
We'll celebrate our 90th birthday definitely together.
Oh, the dance moves.
I've got a real life party trick. He's right here.
Scott's favourite party trick, he pulls out the sprinkler on the dance floor.
That's my signature move.
Oh, I think the party for turning 90 is going to be huge.
It'll be a birthday month. Maybe 90 though, we should go big. Do a birthday year.
Yeah. Happy birthday, ABC. Yours for 90 years.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
We're gonna be kids.
Grandstand AFL
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
A year is a long time in football, and last season's qualifying finalists certainly exemplify that. Port Adelaide and Geelong have gone separate ways in 2022, with the Power battling to play finals and the Cats eyeing off a 15th minor premiership. This afternoon in the 200th AFL game at the Adelaide Oval, it's the visitors with all the momentum off the back of an 8-game winning streak. Port again enter without a ruckman, with Bryn Teakle returning through the sandful, whilst the Cats bring Jed Buse back into the 22 with Sam Menegola missing through concussion. Aaron Bryans with you to call the action. We're moments away from bounce down here at the Adelaide Oval, and alongside me is Neil Cross. Welcome, Crossy.
Aaron, very interesting to see how Port come out, because obviously every time you mention the word mathematically, a chance.
Which is every week.
It's indicative of how desperate things have become, and that's the situation for Port and the finals this year.
Absolutely beautiful conditions as well. I reckon we might get one of the bigger crowds we've seen for a Port home game this season. We'll keep across that across the afternoon. Are your experts firstly, though, in the ABC Sport box? Carlton Premiership player Scott Camporelli. Afternoon, Campo.
Hey, Aaron, Crossy, Steve. Hey, good to be here. I mean, beautiful day here. No worries about that in terms of being able to handle the ball, and two teams that actually like to possess the ball, don't they, Steve? So the uncontested style somewhat of Port and Geelong, the way they try and keep the ball and keep time in possession, will certainly be on show today.
Alongside Scott Camporelli, Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Aaron. G'day, guys. Yeah, it's good to be here. As Campo said, magnificent day. It's always great when the Cats come to town, a really professional footy team, top of the ladder. Last time they came here, Port beat them pretty comfortably in the qualifying final. So, as you mentioned, Aaron, both sides have gone different ways, but Port are clinging onto an opportunity, so their pressure has to really be up today. They've got to ramp it up right from the start, and nothing to lose. Just see what today can bring.
Steve, you're a power man. Do you believe they should be playing finals this season?
Oh, there's no question they should be playing finals. When you lose the first 5 at the start of the year, it makes it pretty tough, but I think they've shown since then that their side is good enough to play finals, but whether the poor form at the start of the season is going to cost them, I would imagine it's probably going to, when you look who they've finished with over the last 4 rounds.
Campo, the flip side of that coin, is Geelong the new premiership favourite?
Well, hard to argue against that. I mean, in terms of where they sit, they're number 3 points for and number 3 points against, so they've got the right balance of offence and defence. They've got stars on all the lines. But the only question I have around Geelong, particularly today, is not having Tom Stewart in that back half. So really inexperienced back line there, but I think Port Adelaide have probably got a better forward line, where at the other end they got stars like Hawkins and Stengel and Cameron, obviously, but Port's got a really solid back six. So I think if Port Adelaide can win that midfield battle and get it into that forward line and lock it in there like they have done the last few weeks, I think they're a chance.
The voice of Scott Camporelli alongside Stephen Williams. And a warm welcome to our listeners joining us from the SCG. It is Port Adelaide and Geelong in round 19 action on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross to call the action alongside Scott Camporelli and Stephen Williams. The 5th member of our commentary team who's been keeping his eyes on the coin toss is Jack Becketta. Jack.
Good afternoon, Aaron. As you've all mentioned, an absolutely perfect day for football down here. I almost feel sorry for Liz Walsh. Almost, not quite. But as you said, 17 degrees, dropping to only 12 degrees, clear blue skies, no chance of rain. Joel Selwood for Geelong, he won the toss. The Cats will be kicking to the northern end, the scoreboard end. The Cats skipper is starting on the bench today alongside Jed Buse, Tom Atkins, Brian Myers. For the Power, Robbie Gray, Miles Bergman, Jace Burgoyne and Jed McAtee will start on the bench. The subs for the two sides, Riley Bonner and 203-centimetre big man Shannon Neal.
Big game for both these clubs. Port's finals opportunity on the line. Geelong looking for 9 in a row. The last time they did that, they won the 2011 flag. Port and Geelong on Grandstand AFL to kick things off. Here's Neil Cross.
Important afternoon for Port Adelaide. This is basically season on the line. Ball goes down from the umpire. Stanley with the knock away for Geelong. On the ground, fighting hard. It came to Dangerfield. Just got a left foot to the ball. Out wide, Amon took it for Port. They're out on the eastern side of the ground. They share it through the hands and finally to Amon down to half forward. Pal Pepper marks at 60 from goal. Wheels around, top of the square. Georgiadis rides a ball and takes a nice mark. And Port, surely he can't miss from the top of the square.
Just quick, wasn't it? Pal Pepper, his ability to get the ball and then just roll around, get it in there quickly. Georgiadis had the best position and a great start for Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide just some 45 seconds into the match had the first goal. Georgiadis kicking his 16th of the season. He's had some issues in front of goal, but when you're that far out, no mistake at all.
Well, once again, makes a difference. Centre clearance, 666. Port Adelaide were able to tip that ball over. It was Amon. They got a couple of quick handball receives, and as you said, Steve, I mean, Pal Pepper, he's had a wonderful year, really, from round one. He's one that has been consistent. But I love the fact he just rolled, got it in there, gave Georgiadis, and the thing that we've spoken about even last week, couple of games, Steve, just kicked it to advantage side, Georgiadis. Just kicked it to that spot where he could jump. Koladashny was out cold on his feet. Easy first goal for Port.
Great start for Mitch Georgiadis with the 4 touches last week and goalless. On the board to kickstart proceedings at the Adelaide Oval. If you'd like to get in touch across the afternoon as well, the text line 0437 774 774. In the middle, Stanley wins it down through the hands of Rosie. Blitzav's in there trying to pick it up. Knocked away. Boak puts his head over the footy, collides with Close. Both okay. Now at the back edge of the centre square. Near centre half forward for the Cats. It trickles out to Blitzav's. Got a handball away. It was a throw. Cam Guthrie was racing away, but it'll come back to Port Adelaide. Free kick at centre half back. And the Brownlow medalist Ollie Wines has the footy.
Wines moves it out to that eastern side again. And Finlayson took a 2-grabber. Took it away from Holmes. Finlayson on the logo on centre wing. Just chips it short to Boak. Immediately outside with his hand pass having taken the mark. Amon sends it inside 50 again. Ball comes to the front of the pack. Dixon roved it. Then he lost it in a tackle and the umpire said dropping the ball. I'm not sure he had all that much time and O'Connor met him. Now he shares the hand pass and the Cats will come out of defence.
Duncan races through defensive 50, then kicks out to the broadcast wing. Bounces at left half back. Bit too short for Smith. Slapped away from him by Houston. Boundary throw in to come right half forward for the Power.
Well, he's going to be the one, Duncan. He's the one that's the meted gain. He uses the ball out of their back half. They are a little bit undermanned in terms of experience, and he's that high half back that's going to try and get involved.
Toss back in western side. Stanley took it out of the ruck. Handball under pressure. Found Smith, the 3-time premiership Hawk. Dribbles it along the deck through centre wing. Bounces off a couple of feet to Burton. Picks it up for Port Adelaide. Handball into Butters. Had space to spin. Looks to switch out to the eastern side. Kicks through the square. Spots Amon.
Has to be a plan. They've gone out there so often in this opening few minutes. Down to half forward from Amon. Once again, Pal Pepper the mark at half forward. Wheels around on the right foot, sends it in long. Tui knocks it to ground, or not quite, because Dixon has it in his hands. He goes to Georgiadis, who basically just hand passed it in the air a metre away. Picked up by Dixon again. Now to Drew. He was under pressure, and Brian Myers clears it away to centre wing for Geelong.
Only as far as Aaliyah is caught in the tackle from Gary Rowan holding the ball. The Cats can keep going. Rowan on the 45, spots Holmes on the logo, true centre wing. Looks inside the centre square. It's an awkward kick. Didn't reach Dangerfield. Fell short to Farrell. Marks behind the centre circle and Port Adelaide can rebound. Heads wide to Amon, then up to left half forward to Butters. Port leading by 6. Butters will chip it short. Pal Pepper leads out. Claims it 35 from home. Tight angle to the left.
They're really moving that ball well, Port Adelaide. I think it's Amon on the wing. 5 disposals already. 4 of them kicks going at 100%. So he's a player that's used the ball really well, getting inside that forward 50. And now Pal Pepper the opportunity to convert.
Great year for Sam Pal Pepper. He's 15 and 19 in front of goal, but only been goalless in 6 of his 17 games. Career high, nearly a major a game at this point. Comes in, kicks just inside the paint of 50. Plenty of power and a lot of accuracy. Port with 2 on the board first. 2 straight 12, Geelong yet to score. 5 minutes played in the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Port Adelaide, as you said, Steve, they're been able to shift it to that other side of the ground, but they've been deadly by foot, haven't they? 92% Port Adelaide. So Geelong is certainly giving Port Adelaide a bit of space, but it's their work rate off the ball. You saw, I was watching ahead of the ball, and Powell Pepper was the one. He just took off on Reece Stanley and was able to get connected inside forward 50. But he's a real barometer up there. I love his pressure. I thought they missed him a couple of years ago in that final. I thought he was the missing piece in terms of being able to get in there. But he's that high pressure forward, and he's hitting the scoreboard as well.
There's that turnover then by Max Holmes. He had the ball in the middle of the ground, kicked it straight to Farrell, and from that point on, Port just owned the footy. Geelong are going at 17% with kicking efficiency.
Powell Pepper with 3 uncontested marks and a goal. Out of the middle, came to Blitzarves. He just hand passed towards the wing. Holmes came in, picked it up, ducked under a tackle, did well. Then it came to Blitzarves. Blitzarves released the hand pass forward to Holmes under pressure. Coughed it up to Rosie. Hand pass wide. Bergman running. There's Powell Pepper again. Inboard with a hand pass, though. His skills let him down. Port Adelaide, though, retained possession. It's just a punt kick inside forward 50 from Finlayson. Comes to ground. Henry in game number 100. Got it back to Duncan, and he'll clear into the back pocket, the right back pocket on the eastern side to Tui, who takes the mark.
Geez, that's good pressure by Port through that middle of the ground and turn it over again.
Port Adelaide lead 2 straight 12. Geelong yet to score as Tui heads to right half back. Spots Duncan. He's been lively early. Marks uncontested on the boundary line. Looks to head through the wing. Along the paint, he's looking for Stengel, but Burgoyne read it well. Nice swirl from behind to force the boundary throw in. Earlier today, Hawthorn defeating North Melbourne by 46 points at the MCG. The Swans defeating Adelaide by 33 at the SCG. Still to come, the Q Clash tonight. If you want to hear that, jump on the AFL app. Everyone's off to Docklands, though, for the Bulldogs and the Demons. Free kick in the ruck contest going the way of the visitors. Geelong and Reece Stanley. Receive it on the logo. Chip short to Duncan. Not sure that was 15. Umpires paid it. Disposal number 4 coming up for Mitch Duncan.
Blitzaz is ahead of the ball, and Burgoyne here had to hand over.
Heads inside 50 for the Cats. He spots Blitzarves, who gets a run at it. Couldn't claim it on the second bite. Came out to Atkins. Races away from Rosie. Around the body, it's a flat kick intended for Cameron and Stengel. Neither got there in the end. Spoiled away to Burgoyne. He's wrapped up by Blitzarves. Umpire circles and says, my ball. 35 out, slight angle to the right. Northern end for the Cats, who are yet to score.
Not much of Jace Burgoyne out there, is it? When they tackle him, he's not too hard to put down.
So ball up in the air. Stanley just knocks it forward. Running onto it, Selwood took it towards the pocket. Aaliyah cut him off, then picked it up. Hand pass out to Amon. Clears the 50. Powell Pepper almost in his hands. Atkins, or rather Buse, took it away from him. And eventually the pair of them take it over the boundary line. So it's out there on the eastern side of the ground. And at right half forward for the Cats.
Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you. Port by 12. Double fist out of the ruck contest by Stanley as far as Houston. Gathers inside defensive 50 and clears for the Power. Bit short for Powell Pepper. There's a whistle though. I think it was after the kick. And it's going Geelong's way. Free kick occurred at right half forward for the Cats. Well away from the disposal. It's going against Connor Rosie. And Geelong will receive it. Tom Atkins has it just outside 50. Looks to the scoreboard pocket. Hawkins leading out, juggles, couldn't reel it in as it just carried over the boundary line. To be tossed back into play on the paint of 50. 9 minutes played in the opening quarter. Port Adelaide 2 straight 12. Geelong yet to score.
Enterprising opening from the Power. Got a couple of goals on the board. Ball back into play. It's in the Cats forward 50. The hand pass went out to Stengel, and Burne-Jones picked it up for Port Adelaide and just kicked it outside 50. It was a dump kick, and the umpire said insufficient intent. So it's going to come back through Tui for Geelong.
They've just changed. Surely they just changed the rule to the last touch now. That's essentially what they're adjudicating.
Tui sends it 20 from goal. Strong mark Bergman, middle of the pack. Took it defensively for Port Adelaide. Scoreboard pocket is back to where they go, and Amon was the target. He's still inside defensive 50.
Disposal 7 for Amon coming up as we approach 10 minutes into the first. His kick is awful. Straight to Stanley sitting in the hole on the eastern side. Gives it to Zach Guthrie. Inside 50. Rowan flew, but brave was Amon. Made amends for the woeful disposal. Came across to cut it off with the intercept mark. His kick's awful again. Set up for Burne-Jones. Racing through. It's gathered and goaled by Max Holmes. The absolute opportunist just capitalised on another poor kick across the goal face. And Geelong get there first as Holmes runs into the open goal. It took 10 minutes to get there. Geelong 1 straight 6, Port 2 straight 12. On Grandstand AFL, the voices of Scott Camperelli and Stephen Williams.
Well, you talk about coach killers, Steve. I mean, the first one was a poor one. The second one, he got redemption. I'm not sure what he was trying to do, Steve. I'm
just
watching
lazy
on
kick,
the replay,
yeah.
and they're going, why was he going across there? But he had plenty of options just on the 45 up at the ground. But obviously, they're trying to move and shift Geelong's defence around. We've seen that early in the game, but you know that just relieves the pressure on Geelong. That's the thing in these big games against the top teams. You can't give easy goals away like that.
Port Adelaide having success transferring the ball to the eastern side. They tried to go to the other way that time and didn't do it so well. Now it's down at half forward. Out of the centre it came from Robbie Gray to Farrell. He's taken the mark. Boom kick. Top of the square. Over the top it falls. It's untouched. Or was it?
Touch.
Goal umpire said it was touched on the way through. Minor score. First of the afternoon for either side. Port 2-1-13. Geelong 1 straight 12 as Tui brings the ball in short.
Finds Smith. Loads up on the left, up to centre wing, western side. Cleary nearly cut it off but couldn't claim it. Spilt down, McEntee. Tumbler up towards 50 for the power. It beat Marshall. Smith did well, diving to carry it over the boundary line. He'll be tossed back into play just inside 50 for the power.
Zach Guthrie, no possessions. He's one of the guys I think is a real barometer for Geelong through that midfield. Yet to touch the ball.
Toss back into play. Coming out, Blitzav slapped it down straight to Amon. Kicks around the body, up to the top of the goal square. Buse in the hole. Had no pressure as he intercepted. Now to the right back pocket rather for the Cats. Finds Zach Guthrie. Short to Mark O'Connor. Now to right half back for the Cats. Myers marks in front, centres his kick to Tui. Was at 15, now he's under pressure. Wheeled away from Bergman, handball over his head, trying to give it to Myers. Instead he sold him into immediate danger. Bergman gets him, handball comes clear. Ricochets inside 50 for the power. O'Connor will see it out. Boundary throw in to come. Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Interesting looking at a few of the matchups behind the play. Sam de Koning has the big job on Charlie Dixon today. And at the other end of the field, Ken Hinkley has given Jace Burgoyne the job on Tyson Stengel, while Clurier is Hawkins and Jonas is Cameron.
Ball thrown back into play. Blitzhalves had the better of it. Knocked it clear. Houston picked it up for Port Adelaide. Just had to, in the tackle, hand pass inside forward 50. De Koning went up and took it. Georgiades took him down, ball up. So in that left forward pocket for Port Adelaide. Came down to Atkins out of the ruck contest. Guthrie gave it away to Dangerfield, cleared the area, just got it on the boot. It was touched off the boot, and the umpire says throw it in, that's okay. And that would be the first touch, I think, now for Guthrie. Zach Guthrie had just had one, and that time Cam Guthrie with his first.
Toss back into play. Pau Pepper in the ruck against Blitzavs. Did enough to tunnel him. Forced it wide. At the back, Buse gathered. Clearing kick for Geelong. Bounces up to centre wing. Plenty of players around the footy. Cleary did well to get it out for the power. Gives it to Burgoyne, then back to Aaliyah. Kicks up to Bergman. He marks. Hands it wide to Drew. Flat kick is incredibly short for Dixon. Through his toes, it's picked up at the back by De Koning. Handball off to Cam Guthrie, now in the right back pocket. Henry tackled as he kicked it. Gave it straight back to Dixon as a result. His kick is awful. Short, flat, cut off by De Koning. He lost it. Dixon gathers again. Gives it to Drew. Marshall, tight angle, left forward pocket. Minor score. 2-2-14 the power. Geelong 1 straight 6. 14 played in the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, they've really locked him in, haven't they, Port Adelaide? They're just not letting him out. It's great footy. 11 inside 50s to 5 early in the game. 8-5 clearance and really getting on top on the ground ball battle, 18-8.
Tui plays on, comes this broadcast side. Smith makes good ground to the ball, takes it in the hands just outside defensive 50 for Geelong. slows up. Now he runs along the boundary line. Butters just turned away for a moment there and he took advantage. Goes long with the kick. Dangerfield came from behind Aaliyah and the umpire said you draped your arm across his shoulder. Free kick. Aaliyah just behind centre wing on this broadcast side, short to Amon. Been prolific in this opening quarter.
Disposal number 10. We've still got 10 minutes to play. Amon short in the 45, wasn't 15. Slipping over Burton. He's lost it. Picked up by Aaliyah. Handball inside to Amon. He loses it in the close tackle. Now dives onto the footy. Plenty of players dive on him. Comes out. Trying to reel it in is Burgoyne. Myers brings him down, but he got it away. Butters releases Amon. Handball forward for the power to Drew. Now Farrell. Great shame, but it's going to be ended by Buse, who spun him down in the tackle, holding the ball. Free kick to the Cats at centre half back. Port looked away. Jed Buse on return to the 22 after being the sub last week. Looks right back at home.
Important tackle, wasn't it? Farrell only had to get loose of that one and he was well within range. So great tackle by Buse.
Buse high and long and Hawkins just forced his man Jonas away and took a chest mark. Just inside the centre square at the front end for Geelong. Dummies around Jonas and then goes long with his kick back with a flight almost Rowan. And then he got the head pass off and Guthrie snaps and misses. And minor score for Geelong, but how quick they can attack.
7-point game on Grandstand AFL. Great to have your company, Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you as the power exit out to the western side. Kick found Cleary, then Amon, now Houston. Heads up to right half forward. He's caressing the boundary line to Wines. Too wide in the end. Free kick to the Cats. Isaac Smith has it just forward of left half back. Spots Selwood leading out. Had Gray on his tail and lost it. The ball came down to the Powers' advantage. Farrell can pick up. Give it back to Gray. Spots Marshall on the lead wide. Hits him. The tightest of angles, 45 out.
It's great composure. There was a Geelong defender back there. I think it was DeConning. He was a 2v1, but Robbie Gray, he is a beautiful kick inside forward 50.
Todd Marshall started the round 9th in the Coleman. Outstanding for the 23-year-old, considering his poor start to the year. This will be a lot of work. He's had to throw aside one of the runners' chairs. He's starting right on the LED fencing.
We've seen him kick a couple from this position earlier in the year, so he'd be confident enough.
Crosses the boundary line and kicks on the paint of 50. No chance of a score as it sprays left, sits up in the goal square, and Duncan will knock it through for the minor score. Back to an 8-point lead to the Power. 2-3-15 playing 1-1-7. 17 and a half played on Grandstand AFL.
And it will be Duncan with ball in hand to bring it back into plays at the top of the goal square. Comes this broadcast side. Sends the ball. Looking for O'Connor. And O'Connor basically bounced away from him towards the boundary line and taken over by Houston. So about 70 metres from the goal face. We'll get a throw in. Right half forward for Port Adelaide, attacking that Riverbank stand end of the Adelaide Oval. You're on Grandstand AFL. Neil Cross, Aaron Bryan, Stephen Williams, Scott Camporelli.
So toss back into play. Stanley's in front position. Up against Finlayson, won it down looking for Dangerfield. He's been a bit quiet. Spilled to Atkins. He's wrapped up by a couple. Ball up to come. Still right half forward for the Power. Leading by 8. Quick ball up. Finlayson knocked Stanley out of it illegally. Free kick to the Cats, left half back. Stanley looks to switch now through the square. He spots Buse all alone. McEntee nearly chased him down, but he knew he was coming. Buse stopped, propped and went. Handball out to O'Connor. Inside 50 for the Cats. Hawkins nudges Powell-Pepper out of it and takes the mark in the scoreboard pocket. 35 out, 45-degree angle to the right.
Is it a push in the back or not? Two hands in the middle of his number and pushes him forward. It's pretty obvious to me that should have been a free kick to Cleary.
So Tom Hawkins has the footy for the Cats. You'd think he's a lock for an All-Australian this year. 34 years of age, third in the Coleman. Hawkins from 45 loads up and squeezes it through. Down to a 2-point game at the Oval. Port 2-3-15, Geelong 2-1-13, approaching time on in the first on Grandstand AFL.
It's always a tough one, Steve. You know, I mean, how it's adjudicated now. I mean, we hear a lot, you know, over my coaching, you know, there's plenty of vision, you know, around this and that, and you can't do this. But I guess, does he hold his ground and then he's still in that marking contest? I mean, you and I probably played that's a free kick every day of the week, but and it might be who it's against.
Well,
too.
as long as they're consistent, if they let it go all day, well, you can't complain.
There is a thought that Hawkins may not be in the race as a leading goal kicker if he was paid every push he put into the backs of players. But anyway, it's just a theory.
Your theory?
Might be. He does it all day, every day, and the sooner we go back to no hands at all in the back, the better. I think it's clearer for the umpires. Out of the middle, meanwhile, it's a free kick to Dangerfield. Got it off to Cam Guthrie to close at half forward. He takes the mark, stabs inside 50. There's no doubt about that mark. Rowan led up and took it 30 metres out straight in front.
Well, centre bounce clearance. It was a great handball receive from Guthrie, who's been well held from Drew. I think it looks like he's trying to just negate his influence on the game, and it was two beautiful kicks, wasn't it?
Yeah, not much a defender can do, is it, when the ball comes in like that? Really nice footy from Geelong.
Gary Rowan coming in, just looking for his fourth goal of the season. No mistake, good kick. Cats take the lead for the first time. Geelong 3-1-19, Port Adelaide 2-3-15 after 21 minutes of the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL at the Adelaide Oval.
Well, they'd be disappointed, Port, really. I mean, they've dominated the game up until the last minute. They've kicked two in a minute. Dubious free kick, I guess, and then a centre bounce clearance, as we know, with Port Adelaide got one early with, you know, the opportunity to have some space for the forwards to lead into, but you still got to execute by foot. And I think it was close. Was that last kick inside forward 50 was beautiful.
So Geelong with the lead for the first time this afternoon. Port Adelaide looked lively early. Now at the top of the table, Cats with the momentum. Bounce in the middle. Finlayson up against Stanley. Neither ruck could get there due to a blocking free that went Geelong's way. Stanley gathers, takes the advantage, heads inside 50. Jonas back with the flight. Cuts it off. Intercept mark for the Power and wastes little time heading out to left half back. Finds Rosie. Not sure what to do, so he'll hand it wide to Bergman. Through centre wing up to left half forward. Long kick intended for Finlayson. Stanley nearly beat him again. Couldn't reel it in at the last bite. Finlayson with the tackle, diving in Georgiadis. Flicks one out to Boak. Then Wines. Races away from the contest, but sold Finlayson into trouble. Wrapped up in the tackle. Just got boot to ball as it trickles into the centre square. Picked up by Rosie. He looks to right half forward. Bounces to Pal Pepper. He can gather. Handball back, retreats to Amon. Now inside 50 for the Power. The kick was rushed and straight to De Koning, who sits in the hole. Geelong have the footy in the left back pocket.
De Koning waits, and now he'll come down this broadcast side, just straight down the line. Aaliyah at the front, good mark. Took it away from Hawkins, who came late. So between half forward and centre wing, Hawkins just not warming to the fans. Just held the ball up a little bit. It was short from Aaliyah to Burgoyne at about 45. So Burgoyne's within 10 metres of the boundary line at right half forward. He sends it along inside forward 50. Off hands it comes. On the ground, Butters slipped it out. Got it to Marshall. In space off the left foot. Gee, that's a good finish. He had another handball option, but he realised he had time and space, and he delivered the goal for Port Adelaide. They take the lead again. Port Adelaide 3-3-21. Geelong 3-1-19, 23 down.
Just Aaliyah able to mark that ball and stop Geelong. They've been pretty good at getting the ball out from the kick-outs, but he was able to stop it. And then nice kick by Burgoyne, went in hard and low on the ground. And, Marshall just shows what versatility he has. He's a pretty good player on the ground as well as marking the ball in the air.
I'm not sure that's their MO for today, though, Steve. I was watching back here and both Dan Houston and Tommy Jonas were screaming at Aaliyah to try and shift the ball, which we saw earlier in the game. They obviously don't want to try and go straight line against Geelong. See whether we can open them up, make them defend, which is what you do need to do against Geelong.
Back-to-back lead changes. The Power up by 2. Clean bounce in the middle. Stanley flew early, won it down through the hands of Boak for the power. Coming through to assist is Rosie. Gathered, got a handball clear in the Blitzarves tackle. Spilled to Burne-Jones. Wines back to Rosie. Weaves through Stanley. Gives it back to Wines. Up to half forward. Farrell from 48. He can finish on the left. Kane Farrell pushes the lead out to 8. An exquisite finish that he's done time and again, racing into the arc. Port 4-3-27, Geelong 3-1-19, 25 played in the first. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli and Stephen Williams with you on Grandstand AFL.
Nice work by Darcy Burne-Jones. The ball was almost out the back, but he was able to get in between a couple of Geelong players, and then the hands from Port Adelaide were just really sharp and clean, and was able to cut Geelong apart. And Farrell, that's the one he was looking for about 10 minutes earlier when he got tackled. He was able to get through, and anything from around about 50 for him is like shell and peas.
How good was Rosie? Just a bit of time warp, the jump to the left and then a step to the right, and sent the hand pass out, and away they went. Port Adelaide by 8 points, ball in the middle again. Stanley got a hand on it, so did Selwood. Big tackle made by Atkins. Umpire said that's okay. Comes to Farrell at the back end of the square. He was tackled, lost it, play on advantage. Stengel inside 50, low and hard. Rowan leads up and takes a chest mark. Boy, it's hard to cut that off. 25 out straight in front again.
It's just centre bounce, isn't it? Both teams are really, I reckon there's been 4 goals kicked from pure centre bounce extractions out of there. I mean, no, it wasn't a free kick. I thought it might have been a little bit of a sling tackle, but he tried to play for that. But Farrell was, I'm not sure what he's doing.
Just lost his awareness, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, lost the ball in the tackle. Rowan for his second of the afternoon. Perfect finish. And the Cats take back to 2 points. They trail by 2 points. 4-1-25 for the Cats, 4-3-27 for Port Adelaide. And we've now crossed over 26 minutes in the first term.
Both midfielders are just so skilled. If they can get some clean ball from the stoppage, it's just into the forward line with real precision. It makes it really tough for the defenders. So, as Campo mentioned, goals scored from the centre bounce are going to be a premium. 4 so far in the first quarter.
5-3 centre bounce in favour of Port Adelaide, but 2 goals apiece out of there. So, good strike rate.
Nice to have a good game on Grandstand AFL after a couple of blowouts earlier today. The Hawks by 46, the Swans by 33. 2-point game at the Adelaide Oval at the moment. In the middle, Finlayson contests against Stanley. The Cat won it down straight to his skipper. Selwood hands it forward to Blitzavs. Caught in the tackle, dropped it. No free kick. The power will go anyway, but Garay's run down. Thought he had more time than he did.
That's close
just
again.
jogs through the square. Close wraps him up. Tui takes the advantage. Inside 50, Alir was spoiled. Trickles down front and square to Blitzavs. Didn't know what to do. Retreats with the handball to Close. Over the top. It's too long for Atkins. Can gather on the bounce, and Butters can get him. Free kick to the power, holding the ball in defensive 50. Great intensity in this contest.
Well done, Butters. Outstanding. Robbie Gray, I'm just almost think, Steve, his time's up through the centre bounce. He's just, the world spins a bit quicker now for his legs, unfortunately.
Yeah, Brad Close. He was the player that run down Farrell as well, so his defensive pressure has been outstanding.
So Butters moved it to Alir, and he sent it wide near the boundary outside 50. For Burgoyne, down the line, big mark taken by Dixon. Wheels around, goes down to half forward. Boak took it well in front of the eyes. Now he wheels as well, and Marshall leads up and completes the mark right on 50 on a 45-degree angle.
Really nice ball work again. Great kick by Dixon to Boak, and then Boak was able to just put it out in front of Marshall. So, using the footy really well going inside forward 50.
Marshall just tucks away the mouthguard. Adjusts the socks, which, given they're those cut-off socks, they don't need much adjusting. And in he comes. Starts his trot. He's going to have to kick it every bit of 55 metres. In he comes. Arcs slightly to the right, hooks it well back to the left. It's not going to score, and Stanley almost pulled down a mark. In fact, he was chopped by Dixon, said the umpire. So a free kick in the right back pocket for Reece Stanley.
Your umpires this afternoon, Justin Power, Brett Roseberry, Jamie Broadbent. The Cats in the right back pocket Stanley heads up to right half back. Packer waits. Bergman clunks it to spoil it down. Drew becomes the tackler. Holds up Atkins. Ball up to come. And here's Port Adelaide by 2 points. Late stages of the first. Knocked down by Finlayson. Gathered on the bounce by Butters. Kicked as he fell. Tumbles through the left forward pocket. Dixon can't get there as Stanley shepherds it over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play. Riverbank stand end. 4-3-27 plays 4-1-25. 54 seconds to play in the first.
Charlie Dixon throwing his weight around down there. Now he's in the ruck contest. Stanley comes over the top, knocks it wide. Farrell picked it up, lost it in the tackle. Cleared away by Atkins. Outside defensive 50. Close got it. Hand pass to Duncan. Forward to Stengel. Wide he goes looking for Hawkins. Somehow he kept it in. Close followed up. He's now at half forward. Hand pass over the top. Goes to Rowan. Rowan from 55 metres sends it to the top of the square. Cameron pulls down the mark. What a transition from the Cats. Cameron with a big smile on his face will go back and should kick a goal from 15 out.
Well, he is saying it might have hit the ground. That's maybe why Jeremy, definitely did. And he was smiling at the Port Adelaide cheer squad in the bottom left-hand corner of the ground. This will hurt if he kicks it.
Oh, he might be a bit of karma. Might be a bit of karma, but it's not. He completes the goal.
Have a listen to him, Crossy.
Late on.
Good way to unsettle the locals.
Just for a surprise, Port Adelaide fans not happy. So, right on the siren, Cameron's goal gives Geelong the lead at quarter time. Geelong 5-1-31. Port Adelaide 4-3-27.
Goal scorers at the first break for the Cats. 2 to Rowan, singles to Hawkins, Holmes and Cameron with that third lead change of the quarter. And for Port Adelaide, all individual, Pepper, Marshall, Georgiadis and Farrell. It's great to have your company this afternoon at the Adelaide Oval, live on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Ready to hit the road and go exploring? Backroads is back. From Katherine in the top end to WA. From the New South Wales Riverina and Tassie's King Island to way out back. Join me, Heather Hewitt, and some of my fellow guest explorers for a journey to some of this country's most remote towns, full of surprising and memorable characters.
All new Backroads. New adventures Monday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Pepper marks at 60 from goal. Wheels around top of the square. Georgiadis rides at ball and takes a nice mark. Surely he can't miss from the top of the square. 45 seconds into the match, have the first goal.
Buttles will chip it short. Pepper leads out, claims at 35 from home. Tight angle to the left. Comes in, kicks just inside the paint of 50. Plenty of power and a lot of accuracy. Port with 2 on the board first. Brave was aim on. Made amends for the woeful disposal. Came across to cut it off with the intercept mark. His kick's awful again. Set up for Burne-Jones. Racing through. It's gathered and goaled by Max Holmes. The absolute opportunist just capitalised on another poor kick across the goal face. And Geelong get there first as Holmes runs into the open goal. Handball out to O'Connor. Inside 50 for the Cats. Hawkins nudges Pepper out of it and takes the mark in the scoreboard pocket. Hawkins from 45 loads up and squeezes it through.
On the ground, Butters slipped it out. Got it to Marshall. In space on the left foot. Gee, that's a good finish.
Gives it back to Wines. Up to half forward. Farrell from 48. He can finish on the left.
Stengel inside 50, low and hard. Rowan leads up and takes a chest mark. Rowan for his second of the afternoon. Perfect finish.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Enthralling opening quarter of footy at the Adelaide Oval. 3 lead changes, but the Cats snatched it at the buzzer. Jeremy Cameron putting them up by 4 points at quarter time. 5-1-31 to Port Adelaide's 4-3-27. Earlier today, Hawthorn defeating North Melbourne by 46 at the MCG. The Swans defeating Adelaide by 33 at the SCG. For listeners with us on local radio and Sport Digital at the moment, you'll be headed to the Docklands following this contest, the Western Bulldogs and Melbourne. Everyone else, if you want to hear the Q Clash, jump on the AFL app to Ripping Games to finish off your Saturday collection of footy. Here, though, Geelong by 4 points. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross with you, your experts, to break it all down. Scott Camporelli and Stephen Williams.
Yeah, well, they jumped out the blocks, Port Adelaide, to kick the first two, dominated field position, Steve. Geelong couldn't get it out, and then they kicked two quick ones, and then that got them back in the game again, and then it's been centre bounce goal from both teams. So Geelong have kicked 4 goals from stoppage, which Port Adelaide have been really good at defending that for majority of the year, and I've only kicked the 1 goal off turnover. So defending the ground well, Port Adelaide, and their pressure's been outstanding. There's always someone right in Geelong's grill every time they win the ball, but it has been when the game, both teams to be fair, when the game's been one-on-one with some space for the forwards, that's when both teams have hit the scoreboard.
The ability to win that ball out of the centre from both sides, Port showed early, particularly with that those handball chains, just really clean and be able to cut through the Cats and get the ball into the hands of the guys that can kick the ball well, and they certainly look dangerous going forward. Marshall's got one, Georgiadis has got one, Farrell and Powell Pepper, so their goal-scoring players are the ones that are kicking goals, as with the Cats. Cameron's got one, Holmes got that intercept goal, Rowan's got a couple, and Hawkins has got one. So a really entertaining game, as we would expect from the top of the ladder team, and a side that's really doing its best to get themselves within the September-March. So whether Port Adelaide can maintain the pressure and maintain the standard, Geelong will be able to. Whether Port Adelaide can will be something that we might know a little bit more about at half-time.
Jack Paquette has been keeping his eyes on the huddles. What's happening down at ground level, Jack?
Well, an interesting little situation with Geelong. Chris Scott and his assistant coaches are actually using the players' race to access the coaches' box this afternoon. You may remember an incident last year in which Chris Scott had an altercation with a Port Adelaide fan at three-quarter time. Looks like they've found a solution to that problem.
Interesting, the poor reception at the Adelaide Oval for the visitors.
Never happened in Melbourne, would it? That sort of behaviour.
Yes.
He's got to toughen up a bit. I used to roll down there. I used to get it from the Adelaide supporters as well, Steve, like your own supporters when you weren't going that well. I mean,
exactly.
Isn't that the feedback part that you get? You know, they might have a good idea on the way down, Steve, I used to think. Yeah.
Fairly decent crowd in today as well, so maybe Chris Scott thought it was safer to avoid the pack. Geelong up by 4 points. The coach will be happy at the moment. They're at the top of the table. A win will certainly ensure that they finish the round there. Melbourne breathing down their neck, about 5% behind them. They need a pretty big win over the Bulldogs to catch Geelong if they win today. But Port Adelaide, meanwhile, a game and a draw now behind Richmond. Would love a victory to keep their finals hopes alive. The Cats by 4. Second quarter underway on Grandstand AFL. Stanley, Finlayson in the middle. Stanley wins it down. Immediately, Rosie brings down Dangerfield before he could gather. Cam Guthrie will get the clearance. Heads out to the eastern side. It bounces in front of Bergman and Tui. They race onto the footy. Bergman's there first. Couldn't reel it in. Tui's on his back. Gathered by Burne-Jones, who came across to assist. Handball wasn't clean. Socket off the deck by Guthrie. Pinballs to Dangerfield. Geelong now. Tui to Cam Guthrie. Handball inside 50 to close. Back to Dangerfield, who kept running. Shrugs the Jonas tackle. Snaps from 20. Finishes magnificently. That's the class of Patrick Dangerfield. Chris Scott be very happy to have him back in the side after missing so much footy in season 2022. Geelong up by double digits for the first time this afternoon. 6-1-37. Port Adelaide fought 3-27, and it took 50 seconds to get there, Campo.
Well, he only had the 3 possessions in the first quarter. It didn't look running that well, but one thing I know about Patrick Dangerfield is you only got to go to him and just have a quiet word and say, mate, I need a 6 or 7 from you this quarter, and he just comes out firing. He picked up that ground full, he busted the pack open, then his genuine speed. Once he's got his head of steam up, there's not many that can put a hand on him, Steve, and that's a great finish. That's a quality finish from there.
Well, that was the thing, wasn't it? Normally probably not noted for his great finishing, but that was as good as anybody could do.
So the Cats now with a 10-point lead, back in the middle, and Rosie exits straight through the stoppage. Hand pass across to Wines, inside forward 50 with a kick. Maybe he should have done it himself, Rosie.
No question, he should have done it himself.
Kolajasny with the intercept. So he just takes his time in the scoreboard pocket. Now he'll go out to the eastern side of the ground, long and high.
Packer waits. Close was in front position. There's a holding free kick going Geelong's way. At left half back, Blitzarves will receive it. Stepped off his line, called to play on. Rushes the kick. It's a tumbler up to centre wing. Hands and knees. Bergman cuts it off as the goalkeeper. 1-2 with Wines. Port Adelaide now. Out on the boundary line. Rosie back to Houston inside. Finds Burgoyne close to the centre square. Chips down the line, leading out Wines. Tween centre wing, right half forward. Heads towards the scoreboard pocket. Dixon's trying to get away from De Koning. Nearly brought it in. Gathered on the bounce, though. Has two on his tail. Just drops it on his boot. Tumbles 3 metres. Diving onto the footy. McEntee can't pick it up. Cam Guthrie's kick is smothered. O'Connor can finally clear it for the Cats.
It's just a dumb kick outside 50, but it works. Off the pack, close receive from Myers. Inside with a hand pass to Rowan. Back to Myers, Logo centre wing. He goes out wide for Stengel, who's crept forward. Stengel at half forward. Out the back, Cameron. He's going to take the mark over his head and then tried to soccer the ball through. I should say, dribble the ball through. And all he succeeded in doing from 5 metres out was sending it across the goal face for the minor score.
Is that the Karma one, Crossy, the even up for the end of the last quarter?
It could be. 11-point margin in favour of the Cats.
Elia plays on, heads to right half back. Dangerous kick. Sat up for Jonas, just took the mark under pressure from Myers. The power skipper retreats to the right back pocket and then kicks up the eastern side. De Koning's in front position on Dixon, who's forced to spoil. Knocks it over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. Just a note on the Cats, Patrick Dangerfield's goal in this quarter a couple of moments ago was his 150th for the Cats, and he's done so for 2 clubs now, 150 with the Crows and now Geelong.
All back into play. And Stanley had it, then lost it out of the ruck contest. Boat down to half forward, neat little kick. Taken by Dixon leading out. Now he plays on. Hard against the boundary. Inside 50. Just a beautiful kick that just carried over the interceptor. And Georgiades took it 45 degrees from 35 metres out. This should be a goal surely for Port Adelaide.
Just great work, Travis Spoke. The kick to Dixon was outstanding out of the pressure situation. And then Dixon was able to just use the new mark rule to just get a little bit of distance and get it to Georgiades, and this has been his problem this year. Kicks of this position, he should kick them, but he's missed them this year.
Well, he already has one under his belt, mind you. That was from the top of the goal square, but maybe he's got confidence out of that because he neatly kicks this one as well. So 2 for Georgiades, and Port Adelaide just sneak well back into this contest again. 5-3-33, trail by 5 points. Geelong 6-2-38 after 4 minutes in this second term on Grandstand AFL.
It's almost like a 2-goal turnaround, isn't it? Jeremy Cameron misses an absolute gimme, and Port are able to take it down the length of the ground and get back within the goal.
Great to have your company this afternoon on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. If you'd like to get in touch, the text line 0437 774 774. Still to come, the Q Clash and the Western Bulldogs hosting Melbourne at the Docklands. Geelong by 5, leading by 4 at quarter time. Port fans finding a little bit of voice as the sun begins to set through the Cathedral end. Stanley will slap it down straight to the path of Burne-Jones coming off half back. He's wrapped up by Close. Coming through Gray assists. 1-2 with Boak. Tries to wheel away from Atkins. Uses Rosie. Gray again. At centre half back, his handball is awful. Sat up too short for Houston. Stengel cut it off but couldn't do so cleanly. Had a fumble. And now Jonas is wrapped up in the Atkins tackle. Ball up to come just inside 50 for the Cats.
Having a rough day, Robbie Gray. Just send him forward, I reckon, Steve. That's where he's most dangerous.
Houston off the ruck contest just dumps the kick outside defensive 50. De Koning comes ahead of Dixon, gets paid the mark on 2 grabs. Charlie wasn't happy. De Koning now backs up. So he's out there on the eastern side of the centre square. Just an awkward kick inside forward 50. Didn't flow right. From behind, Blitzarves knocked it away from his opponent. Forward hand pass, which was a throw. And running to goal was Smith, thinking here's another one for us, but it wasn't to be. And Burgoyne, unlikely tackler there, taking on the big man.
Good effort by the little man.
Absolutely. He's had a couple of good efforts. He went short and wide to Houston.
He looks a player, Jace, already. He's shown enough to say that, he's going to be a good player for Port.
Houston up to right half back, spots Farrell. Called to play on, he'll head through centre wing up to right half forward. Dixon again against DeConing. Kolajasny came through to spoil down to Buse. He spun in the tackle, landed heavily. Not a dangerous one, just a lot of momentum from Drew. Ball up to come inside the field of play. It is Geelong by 5 at the moment. Ball up. One down by Stanley against Finlayson again. Sticking the boot out is Selwood, went straight up and down. Drew came through for the power, wrapped up in the tackle. Another ball up. Attacking edge for Port Adelaide, right half forward. Trailing by 5.
Ball in the air. Stanley got rid of his man, then just put the ball on the boot. Out wide on the eastern side, it just bounced out of play. The umpire says throw it in.
What's the difference between that one and the Burn-Jones, really? Well, it's just inconsistent.
Power fans out there not happy, just shading their eyes from the sunshine, which some of them are actually got shirt sleeves on out there. In the middle of July, you don't expect that in Adelaide.
Toss back into play. Knocked down. Blitzau's had a fresh airy. Picked up by Smith. Throws it on the left around the body. Sat up for close. Could have taken it. Burgoyne applies the pressure. Got him in the tackle. Turnover. Port through Aaliyah now. Heads up towards the defensive edge of the square. Holmes nearly cut it off. Did enough for Zach Guthrie. He's wrapped up in the power pepper tackle. He dropped it on the ground. No free kick. Geelong will take advantage as Duncan pierces it inside. The diving save from Aaliyah. Stuck out both mitts and cut it off. But, gee, that was as holding the ball as it gets. He's dropped it, Zach Guthrie, in the tackle. Port Adelaide have the footy in defensive 50 as Rosie looks to switch.
Well, as they say, it's the free kicks you don't get as much as the free kicks you do. Port Adelaide have switched to the eastern side. Burn-Jones just dropped it short again. Farrell, he can be a long kick, and this time no exception, just an easy 55-metre kick. It comes to the ground off the pack. Marshall tried to tap it forward, picked up by Smith for Geelong. To Tui inside with his hand pass was good to Henry. Game number 100 for him. Down the line, Rowan, strong mark ahead of Aaliyah. Wheels around straight away, sends it high. And Hawkins one out. Too much power, too much strength. Took a chest mark away from Cleary, and that time there was a push that was legal.
That's how he likes it, isn't it? Just one out, fighting for position with his immediate opponent. They're just too big and strong.
Yeah, they were chest to chest basically with hands on each other, and the big powerful bench press came from Hawkins. So he's straight in front, some 25 metres out. He already has one. And crowd greeting with the essential instruction of how not to kick the goal, and Hawkins ignores it, kicks it over the umpire's head, the goal umpire's head. No problem at all. So Geelong, Jazz kick clear. They're on to 7-2-44. Port Adelaide 5-3-33 after 10 minutes of the second term at the Adelaide Oval. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Stephen Williams and Scott Camporelli.
Well, it's kind of flipped on its head a bit, Steve. Port Adelaide dominated the first quarter, 3-7 inside 50s in favour of Geelong. Contested possession, Geelong have now got that back on their terms, and the ground ball battle, which I think is going to be important for most of the days even, but certainly Geelong in charge of this second quarter.
Yeah, just doing a bit better around the stoppages, and that Dixon's gone in the middle now. I think he actually is a little bit stronger and doing a bit better in that area than Finlayson is so far today.
11-point lead to the Cats in the middle. Blitzabs wins it down looking for Atkins. Bounced off him straight to Robbie Gray. Wheels around for the power up to half forward. O'Connor was in front position. Knocked it down for the Cats. Boat mopped it up though. Gives it back to Gray. Handball a messy one. Houston does well to gather inside the square. Out wide. Spots Burton through the logo. His kick finds Boak. Had a documentary come out on him during the week. Travis Boak. All too human about the more meditation side. Heads on the 45 to Power Pepper. O'Connor loses his shoe. Enables Power Pepper to chip it short to Farrell. Now in the scoreboard pocket. Rosie's been left all alone. And he spots him. Tight angle. 20 out.
It was Power Pepper that lost his slipper. And he had to kick it with his sock.
Yeah, he had to sink the slipper.
Yeah, just like down the hallway at home a few times, I would have thought, when he was a young kid, Steve. But it couldn't be in better hands, really. Connor Rosie backing from there. Aaron, what do you reckon?
Definitely. Ripping run of form. 38 coaches' votes from the last 50 available in his last 5 games. on the right, the tight angle. Gee, did well. Nearly snuck it through.
You're not a great judge.
Minor score. I was pretty close, Camp. I'm taking that one. He is their leading goal kicker in the 2019 season, so he certainly knows how to get it done in front of the sticks. Minor score for the Power. They trail by 10 now. 5-4-34 to Geelong, 7-2-44. 12 played as Geelong head to the western side. Aaliyah in the contest. Beats out Cameron.
Aaliyah drops it short and wider to Burton, just near the interchange gates and the boundary line. Burton backs up. He's got numbers inside, but he decides, no, we'll put it inside forward 50 and see what happens. De Koning with a punch who went straight up in the air. Knocked wide for Kalajasny. Kalajasny lost it in the pressure of Powell Pepper, and now it's wrapped up on the ground. We'll get a ball up inside, attacking 50 for the Power.
He just comes at you quick. Powell Pepper, he's like a freight train.
Yeah. I'd imagine he might sound like a freight train too.
Blitzavs won it down, but Bergman was there to swarm. Handball out to Butters. Now Bergwijn from 60, heads inside 50 through the hands of Zach Guthrie. Geelong have numbers though. Kalajasny uses De Koning. Then Tui across the defensive goal square. Spots the running, or back with the flight running, Smith, who marks it left half back. Then stops momentum for a bit with Farrell on his tail. Plays on, heads up to left half forward. 2 on 2. Aaliyah and Cleary caught behind. Rowan should have taken it. Bit too high for him, and off hands it rolls over the boundary line. Geelong by 10. 13 played in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Isaac Smith's having a great year for the Cats, isn't he? Just a smart wingman, plays out wide there, and he's always available for that exit kick out of the back half.
Blitzavs opposed to Powell Pepper in the ruck contest, went almost half volley the ball. It was a short throw in, or as is usual, the ruckmen were too far back. Either way, it's got back over the boundary line in the last sliver of sunshine on the oval. Just in that little 10-metre gap is where the umpire will throw in the ball.
Blitzavs up against Powell Pepper. Powell Pepper won it down. Slaps it for the Power, looking for Butters. Cam Guthrie was in front. Got a handball clear to Dangerfield. Geelong at left half forward. Selwood caught in the tackle, but still got a kick away. Did affect it, though. Too short for Duncan. Boat can mop it up. Uses Houston. Now Powell Pepper on the boundary line, eastern side. Wheels around the man on the mark. Sells some candy. Races through Blitzavs and kicks up to right half forward. Dixon crunches the pack. Knocked it down to Rosie. Handball inside to Butters. Tries to race away from Cam Guthrie. Did enough. Gets it to Boak. Spotted Marshall inside. The kick was too short for him though. Just dinked it centrally. Geelong apply a couple of tackles. Picked up by Drew. Gave it back to Bergman, who threw it on the boot. Too wide. Just tried to clear it towards goal. And in the end, it's out on the full scoreboard pocket. No score. Port trailing by 10. 15 played in the second.
Kalajasny with the free kick for Geelong. Stays out there on that eastern side. Sends it long. Big pack comes to the front. Cam Guthrie picks it up. Butters took him to ground. Ball fell away from the contact and over the boundary line. So we'll get a throw in. Again, Dixon this time will go against Blitzavs. Mobile ruckman being thrown at Charlie Dixon. So they wrap arms. Blitzarms knocked it down. Drew picked it up for Port Adelaide. Straight to boot inside forward 50. And De Koning with an easy intercept mark on the chest.
Such an impressive season from the 21-year-old. Unfortunately, Nick Dacos has probably had one a little better, which might cost him a rising start. They switch across defensive 50. And now O'Connor has it at right half back. 25-year-old Irish product, one of 5 to extend their contract this week. Heads down the western side, close in front position. Knocked it down, racing through Atkins, gathered for the Cats, gave it to Selwood, who turns straight into the Bergman tackle. And pushes him over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. On the text line, CJ in Brunswick says, today is the last real challenge for Geelong and the last chance for Port. This game is living up to the high stakes so far. I don't know if I agree. The Cats have the Bulldogs and the Saints in their next 2. I reckon they'd be just as difficult as a task.
Dixon goes at the ruck contest. It's thrown in and Wines was in there burrowing. He takes it away from Geelong, and now it'll be a free kick. Duncan was tackled, and Rosie, or rather McEntee, will be rewarded for Port Adelaide. So he's just behind centre wing. A dangerous kick down the line to the lead up of Butters, and there were 2 Cats who were going to him, and It was Dangerfield who knocked it away over the boundary line. Another throw in, another stoppage.
If you're not a great field kick, it's probably not the kick you should be attempting, that one.
Yeah, Dixon just shook his head and then went across to take the ruck duties again.
Toss back in. It cleared both rucks because of a holding free kick against Charlie Dixon.
Well, there's a lot of infringements in ruck contests.
Some of them are there.
Kept Stanley out of it. Free kick to the Cats. Stanley on centre wing. Heads towards the 50 for Geelong. Plenty of power players flying through the air to spoil it away. Jonas was first there. Boundary throw in to come. Right forward pocket. 35 out for the Cats. Kicking to the Riverbank stand end. They've led all of the second quarter. After getting up at the death on the quarter time siren by 4, they're now up by 10. Toss back in. Dixon in front position. Slapped it down to Wines. Quick kick. Just threw it on the boot. Up to the western side. Powpepper in front position against Zach Guthrie. Couldn't reel it in. Gathers on the bounce. Caught in the tackle. Got it clear to McEntee. Wines in traffic. Gave it back to him. Then Butters. Up through the logo. Broadcast side. Bergman nudges Cameron out of it. Free kick going Bergman's way. Cameron, I didn't think even knew Bergman was there. Bergman heads inside 50 for the power. Finlayson disposes of Henry. Played on. Ball comes clear. Georgiadis. Handball to Farrell. He's 40 from goal. Caught in the O'Connor tackle. Georgiadis back to Gray. Handball inside. It's coming back. Holding free kick.
Yep, Farrell.
Port Adelaide's way to Kane Farrell. Messy football. Finlayson actually stopped running into goal because he thought he'd given the free away. Wrapped up by the Holmes tackle, which eventually forced the ball to Farrell.
Finlayson should know you're allowed to push in the back.
So Cade Farrell already has one this afternoon. It was on the run from 48. Set shots haven't always been his thing. Looking for his 12th goal of the season. Slide angle to the left. Man on the mark. 35 out. Farrell leans back on the kick and shanks it. Pulls it all the way right out on the full.
It's an amazing thing, Steve. You know, guys that are good set shots can't kick on the run, and particularly guys who use the ball really well. And you could name a half a dozen, I could as well, that you sit there, just play on, mate. Just play on and just get your normal action. But strange.
Yes, you've got to be able to kick those, don't you? In big pressure games like this, you can't afford to miss a goal like that.
Especially when you're the best kick in the team.
Rising up Cleary after Henry cleared it from the back pocket from that free kick. Couldn't take the mark. Ball on the ground. Lots of players around the ball. Dangerfield just hand passed it out of there. Burton took it for Port Adelaide. Sent it inside 50. Outmanned was Powpepper. The mark was taken by De Koning, the intercept, and then he spread it straight away. Duncan then short. Holmes down the line after taking a mark, and outside the interchange gates, who was taken there by Cameron. Inside he goes with the kick to Cam Guthrie, then receives a hand pass and kicks it inside 50. Ball comes to the back. Picked up by Hawkins. One way, then the other. Now he goes back to the right foot. And then he went back to Brian Myers. And that's on the arc that he loves, and he's kicked it. Myers just received the hand pass and just picked it up and looked around. It was exactly where he wanted to be for the sling across the right boot that he has. And he kicks a goal for the Cats. And they go to the biggest margin of the match, 16 points. Geelong, 8-2-50. Port Adelaide, 5-4-34 into time on in the second term.
Just, I was looking forward to the ball a couple of times, Steve, so round stoppage and just in general play. De Koning's been that spare. And I reckon they look more dangerous, Port Adelaide, when they hold the structure and make them defend. That's clearly been a direction early in the game around. Let's try and make these guys defend. And the last couple of times it's gone in, I've looked forward, and De Koning's been that one. He's taken 2 intercept marks, not in purest form, but the ball's been hacked in there and he's marked it. And then they've been able to go coast to coast. Just wonder whether that's worth a message, Ken Hinkley, down to the forwards. Let's hold our structure. Let's make sure we ask these guys to defend one-on-one.
The voice of Scott Camporelli alongside Stephen Williams, Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you. Geelong by 16. In the middle, Dixon won it down, tried to crumb, was ripped away by Buse. Races through the corridor. Kick up to half forward, finds close, has a runner out wide in Cam Guthrie, uses him, points to the spot, kicks there and finds Holmes, who marks 45 out, tight angle to the right. He doesn't look confident. He's raced back, looking for the pass, heads inside the right forward pocket to Hawkins, got rid of Cleary, just a little too late, didn't have enough time to stick their hands out and pull it in. Trickles through for a minor score at the back. So Geelong up to a 17-point lead, game high, 8:3:51 plays, 5:4:34, 22 played in the second.
Houston plays on from the kick in, out to the outer limits of his kick inside the centre square. Ball comes to ground, forced forward by Boak. Now it's a contest. Boak gets it again, taps it out. Wide it went McEntee. Then he gave it off to Butters, chips it down towards half-forward Marshall, finds a bit of space between centre wing and half-forward.
You just got to be patient here, because there's the extra one, which is Henry at this point.
And it was Henry who took the intercept mark. De Koning was coming over the top. They sandwiched Finlayson.
They're out here.
And now they've tried to switch play to this side, the broadcast side. They've done it now. Cam Guthrie, through Stanley they went. Guthrie picks it up at half-back. Took his time. It was like an old man reaching down. Then he gave it to Henry, forward hand pass to Brian Myers, fakes and then goes inside with his kick. He found the left footer in Cameron, and Cameron sprayed his kick, and he's found the chest of O'Connor. Flanking him was Tui. Hand pass over the top, close in the forward pocket, close, kicks a goal. Oh, the Cats streaming down the ground, one side to the other, and then finally back into that left forward pocket for close to snap the goal. 9:3:57. Port 5:4:34 after 23 minutes of the second term.
Well, that was just coast to coast the last
Again,
two times.
yeah.
I guess not telling Port to suck eggs, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Marshall, who is the forward, Henry's actually his direct opponent. What needs to happen there, Steve?
Hang on the ball.
Well, let the ground reset. Let's even the numbers up and then kick it into some density. Because he kicked it forward, Henry was the one that was intercept mark, and then they were out. They switched the ball to this side, and then all of a sudden, I mean, the Cats don't need any invitation with some time and space, and they just used the ball. And Port Adelaide were pretty much witches' hats there.
And they had three or 4 to 1 inside their own forward 50 as well. So once the ball actually got in there, they had the numbers as well. So they're really controlling the play now.
4 goals to 1 this quarter for the Cats. Some confusion for Port Adelaide about who was going to be the fourth midfielder at the...
Well, they don't have a ruckman.
They've
got Ollie Wines in there.
They had to call Jed McEntee in, 6-6-6 warning. Meanwhile, the ruck contest happens, spills down to Wines. Handball out to Boak, inside 50 for the power. Finlayson went to ground. Kolajasny cuts it off. De Koning's a little sore. Just caught his knee in the turf. He seems to be okay. Kolajasny's kick is woeful. Straight to Carl Amon at right half forward. He marks for the power. Not sure what to do with it, though. Plenty of Cats ahead of him. Plays on the left. Heads to the top of the goal square. Long kick. Georgiadis went to ground at the back. Meant that Kolajasny was all alone to intercept. Clearing kick for Geelong to Stanley. Georgiadis is still down. We'll see if he may have copped a tummy tap there in that contest.
Yeah, he looked like he's holding his ankle. Carl Amon had 13 in the first. That's his first possession for the quarter. Amazing.
The last 4 times it's gone into Port's 50, it's just been intercepted by Geelong.
Geelong with a big mark through Blitzarves at half forward. Quickly off forward hand pass found Smith. 25 from goal is where he sets the ball. Dangerfield almost took it. They've got numbers in there. The Cats too high. Was it with the tackle? Yes, it was.
He's in trouble, Georgiades. He's coming from the ground. It looks like an ankle, I reckon.
I think he's done the ankle. He's limping off. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide, therefore, is one down at the scoreboard end of the ground, but they've got that free kick and they went to Marshall short, so he's kept it just outside 50. A low left footer finds Rosie. They wanted 50. Stengel did come over the mark. The umpire said that was okay. Rosie switches from out in that eastern side to this broadcast side.
Well, they can't go quick. It's actually 5v1 down the line because Georgiades is like walking off the ground.
Burgoyne goes short to Houston on the same wing that Georgiadis is trying to get off on. So he looks inside instead. In the centre circle is Finlayson. Marks, uses Boak, heads inside 50. They are outnumbered, so he heads towards home. It bounces through the goal square and O'Connor gets back in time. Rushes it through for the minus score. 22-point lead to the Cats. Geelong 9-3-57. Port Adelaide moved to 5-5-35. 26 played in the second quarter as Geelong head up the broadcast wing. Blitzarves in front position, couldn't claim it.
Off hands it comes. Port Adelaide take it away. Houston received a hand pass from Burton and then he couldn't get back to his right foot. And as a result, under pressure, kicked it out on the full. Turns it over at right half back for the Cats. So Holmes will take that kick and he'll go down the line and high. Finlayson in good position and took the mark away as opposed to the smaller man in Stengel. So at left half back, it's kick to kick, half back to half back, and Finlayson goes back into side defensive 50 to switch.
Carl Amon was there, completes the switch out to Cleary, and then to right half back to Butters. Butters wanted to play on and head down the wing. In the end, there's too many Cats waiting, so he looks inside on the 45. Here's Aaliyah across half-back. Looks to almost reverse switch. Cross to Jonas. Now through the square. His kick's too hot. Houston was looking at it. It was just too high. Selwood at the back mopped it up. Handball inside. Blitzabs sold around one. Didn't know Marshall was coming from behind. Just got the handball away to Atkins in the tackle. Kick is long. Close back with the flight rather. Nearly brought it in. It carries over for a boundary throw. And Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Mitch Georgiades is making his way slowly down to the Port Adelaide rooms with just over a minute to go until half-time. The Power will wait until the break to make a decision, but when he came off, he was pointing to the outside of his right ankle.
Ball back into play from the throw-in. Stanley took it out of the ruck contest. Down to half forward. Late came close over the top of Houston. Swatted the arm, said the umpire. So free kick. Just inside the boundary there and just inside the 50, the defensive 50 for Port Adelaide. And he tried to pick off a kick inside at 45 to Drew. He was outmarked by Duncan. Took the mark inside 50 for Geelong. And Cameron gets over the top of Jonas and takes the mark. It's a good side in the right forward pocket for the left-footed Cameron. Now he plays on, hooks it around the body. And there's another goal for Geelong. Cameron has his second of the afternoon. The Cats kick clear. And it's a big margin now, 28 points, 10-3-63 plays 5-5-35 of Port Adelaide. And really in this second term, the Cats have shown their power.
Well, they've kicked 7 of the last 8, Geelong, and absolutely dominated, really. They've been able to move the ball from coast to coast out of their defensive part of their ground. They've scored from stoppage as well, but they've kicked the 5 goals from turnover. That's worrying signs for Port Adelaide going into half-time. They had the game somewhat in their control, but the ability for Geelong just to get that uncontested possession chain and then get it into an even number contest. 2 class forwards, 2 class contested markers in Cameron and Hawkins are really starting to shine through.
Awkward bounce in the middle, just stayed inside the circle, so the umpire calls play on. It favours Geelong. Atkins can gather. Uses Blitzabs, then wide to Zach Guthrie. Heads up to the 50. Aaliyah got through Smith and cuts it off for Port Adelaide. 28-point lead to Geelong right now. As Campo touched on, 7 of the last 8 majors. Geelong at the top of the table for a reason. Heads down the line, Aaliyah. Broadcast wing. Dixon came through in the pack, couldn't reel it in. Atkins crumbs it off the deck. Uses Holmes around the body. Tumbled through Burton at the back. It's picked up by the Cats. Heading towards 50. Stengel can gather. In the tackle, he turns it over to Houston. And now Rosie looks to switch out to Amon. He lost a mark he should have taken. Then a fresh area off the deck. Close picked it up. Gave it to Myers. He also missed the boot. Port Adelaide escaped the danger. Gee, that was a mess. And then again, they've turned it over on the siren. Oh, that is the worst possible kick you could do. That is a woeful disposal from Burton. He's caught the outside of the boot and hit it flush straight to Geelong. He'll get a shot on the halftime siren. Isaac Smith, who has a powerful left boot as the footy. Deja vu after quarter time. Jeremy Cameron put them up on the quarter time siren. On the halftime siren, Isaac Smith can come in from 55. Oh, it's a massive kick. Splits the middle for Geelong. And heading into the major break, it's a game-high 34-point lead. 11-3-69, plays 5-5-35. Goal scorers at half-time for Geelong. 2 to Hawkins, Rowan and Cameron. Singles to Smith, Holmes, Myers, Dangerfield and Close. For the Power, 2 to Georgiades, singles to Farrell, Marshall and Powpepper. But gee, that was a pretty woeful quarter from the home side. 5-1 for the Cats. They look to be rolling at the Adelaide Oval, headed towards their 9th straight win. Stephen Williams, your thoughts?
Oh, they were just too good, weren't they? Really, they were challenged early by Port Adelaide, but just the way that they were able to absorb the pressure and then so well drilled. They had a game plan and they've just played it beautifully. The way they've been able to exit the ball out of Port's forward 50, just with uncontested marks, short kicks, and then opening Port up. And then when it's time to go, they go quickly and directly into their forwards, one out, and they've just been too good. So we can see why Geelong are top of the ladder, and we can see why Port are struggling to get themselves in the 8. And I was critical of Dan Houston with about 2 minutes to go, looking to kick the ball in the middle of the ground, but then we saw Burton with about 10 seconds to go, look to go into the middle of the ground as well and just turn the ball over. So pretty disappointing from Port Adelaide, and they've got a lot of work to do to get themselves back into this match.
Well, I mean, even if you have a look at the numbers there, I was just looking at half-time. I mean, if you go purely without looking at the scoreboard, you see that Port should be in the game. They're in charge and contested possession, which we know that Port Adelaide's been a bit of an Achilles heel for them when they're not getting it done. They're winning inside 50s. They're winning that ground ball game. The tackle, their pressure's been there, but it's really come down 30 inside 50s. Port Adelaide have kicked 5 goals, 5. Geelong have had 27. They've kicked 11-3. I mean, you talk about efficiency. They kicked 8 of the last 9, and they've kicked 6 from turnover. And most of those have come, as you mentioned, Steve, from that defensive mid area where they've just been able to intercept that mark, which we know that they are. I looked at the numbers during the week, Aaron. They're the best turnover team in the competition, both defending and attacking. So they're playing to their strengths, which is what the great teams do. And early in the game, I thought Port Adelaide had that under control, but I'll say it again, Steve, they actually need to slow the ball down a little bit. What they did early, they didn't go quick, they went sideways, they moved, they kept changing the angles, which doesn't allow Geelong defenders to get set. So when they go quick and they go straight down the line, you've always got an intercept player there that rolls off. So they need to just tidy that up. Are they still in the game? Potentially. They can get within striking range by three-quarter time. I still think they've got the firepower, but be interesting to see with Georgiades with that ankle. They've got Bonner on the bench. I mean, he's a half-back. So what do? They lose a key forward. They've already got Finlayson and Dixon in the ruck. So that's going to be and I can't think of anyone that may go forward. Maybe Burton. Does Burton go forward on the basis that Riley Bonner's going to go half-back? Burton hasn't had a great day from my point of view. Do they throw him forward and be another target? We've seen that over the last couple of years.
So a 6-goal to 1 quarter for the Cats. They're up by 34 points. On the text line 0437 774 774. Brian from Geelong says, "Hi Aaron, I'm sure De Koning could win the Rising Star Award, but the Dacos name will be a big influence in the end." I don't think it's so much the name. I think it's just hard to ignore a 19-year-old who's averaging 27 touches at half-back and could probably lead Collingwood's Brownlow tally at the end of the season.
Yeah, but if I could argue on behalf of who was it?
Brian
for Brian,
yeah.
He's playing on some of the best key forwards in the competition.
He's been outstanding.
Whereas Dacos is playing at half-back and, not necessarily playing on the best players, but he's accumulating possessions, which, that's a natural commodity for him. But, De Koning's probably playing on the best forwards, particularly with Stewart not being in the team, and then even when he was certainly a high-level player, but they've found one there. I mean, he's going to be a great player for a long time, and not easy to find 200-centimetre intercept defenders.
He's 14th for contested marks and 15th for intercepts per game, and he's only 21, so he's going to get better, and it's exactly what Geelong like to do, which is cut off the footy in defensive 50. Fran from Melbourne's also messaging, says, "Hi team, enjoying the call. If Ken Hinkley is out of contract, what about North for a coaching job? I hope Port improves with the Cats today." Our friend Hinkley actually is contracted till 2023, so unless he walks, depending on how this afternoon goes, the messaging from the footy club, Matthew Richardson, their CEO, has been that they'll back him in for another season. Port clearly think they're still in finals contention. Whether or not the 0 and 5 starters hindered them this year, they think they can go again next year, so I wouldn't be surprised if Hinkley sticks around. Henry in Melbourne also says, "Season on the line and Port put that up. There is no upside in this game style against quality opponents." Campo, what do you think about the ball movement from Port Adelaide?
Oh, I mean, if you looked at the first quarter, I mean, I'm sure they were sitting there going, geez, that's really nice. They got one-on-ones, they changed angles, they were able to hit, and their running power through the middle, they got overlap, they got players ahead of the ball. I just thought they lost their structure, particularly in that quarter, based on it. Because it was in Geelong's forward 50, what happens generally, human nature, is they get up the ground and defend. They're coached to get up the ground. Now, if you don't reset the ground quick enough, Geelong are probably, and Geelong, Melbourne and probably Richmond are the best teams in terms of, if you go up into density, we're just going to drop off and allow the pressure of the midfield and the forwards to actually soak you up. Now, when you get an uncontested mark, like we've seen a couple of times there, and you still want to go quick, and that's hard. You're trying to tell players out there, just go a little bit slower, just let the ground reset. Now, when the adrenaline's pumping and you think, geez, I'm on here or I can hit this kick, but what it does is it doesn't allow the ground or the plays behind midfielders to catch up, doesn't allow the forwards to reset the ground to make it an even number contest, and then it doesn't allow the defenders either to get up and squeeze, which means that Geelong are unable to then switch the ball out of defence and clog it up. So for me, it's more based around just a reset in how they're going about it. They're still, their numbers are good. I just mentioned, like they're not getting belted around the ball, but for me, it's just Geelong, just too efficient, and they've just been able to work through them too easy.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? The efficiency, the way that they've been able to, as you said, they've been smart enough to absorb the pressure when it's not there to go quick. They don't go quick. They just chip the ball through that half back, through the centre corridor, and then when it's time to go, they get it in there, and they've got a lot of one-on-ones, and they're so dangerous one-on-one with the quality of players they have up forward. So, Port looked fantastic in that first quarter, but the Cats certainly put the pressure on, and they just couldn't go with him in that second.
The voices of Stephen Williams, Scott Camporelli, Aaron Bryans and Neil Cross with you as well. Half-time at the Adelaide Oval, Geelong leading by 34 points after leading by just 4 at quarter time. It looked like we had a thrilling game on our hands to break the drought, really, after a couple of disappointing games earlier today. But unfortunately, it looks like the visitors are headed towards yet another win. It'll be their 14th if they can get over the line. And really interested to see how Joel Selwood reacts as well as the skipper, because if he wins this one this afternoon, he'll equal Dick Reynolds' VFL-AFL record of 159 wins as captain. So big day for the Geelong Footy Club. They're looking for 9 victories in a row. Port Adelaide's season on the line. They're certainly not playing with enough heart, though, to get it done. It is Geelong by 34 points after a 6-goal-to-1 second quarter. We'll recap the earlier games, have a look at what's happening around the country as well in a moment. But for now, at half-time, it's time to get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. The Home Affairs Minister has called an Election Day episode which saw the former Prime Minister's office pressure the Australian Border Force unprecedented. A Home Affairs report has confirmed Scott Morrison's office instructed the department to publicly reveal a suspected asylum seeker boat had been intercepted on Election Day. The report found the ABF and Defence Force members acted with integrity by refusing the request to release the information to the media as the event was unfolding. Claire O'Neill says the profound compromise of a military-led operation is without precedent in Australia's history. Today's COVID figures from the WA Department of Health include just over 5,000 new reported cases. There are now 430 people in hospital with the virus, 21 are in ICU. On Thursday, there was a record high of 459 COVID patients in WA hospitals. Today's report also includes 2 deaths, 2 men in their 80s. COVID hospitalisations in Queensland have reached a new pandemic record, with the state's winter wave yet to peak. Maria Hatzakis reports.
Queensland Health says 1,061 people are receiving COVID care in hospital. 30 of those patients are in intensive care. That's the greatest number of COVID hospitalisations since the pandemic began. Queensland's registered more than 7,500 new COVID cases in the past day. 8 virus-related deaths were reported. There are almost 65,000 active cases across the state.
US health officials say the country has recorded its first 2 cases of monkeypox in children. One patient is a California toddler and the other is a non-US resident infant who is transiting through the Washington, D.C. area. The US Centers for Disease Control say both children are doing well, but children aged under 8 are at high risk of severe monkeypox. There have been more than 2,500 cases of the virus recorded in the United States. Donald Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, is facing up to 2 years in prison after being found guilty of contempt of Congress. He was convicted of refusing to cooperate with the committee investigating last year's attack on the US Capitol building. The BBC's Brianna Croxford has more from Washington, D.C.
The US Department of Justice had argued that Mr Bannon felt above the law by ignoring the mandatory legal summons from the committee, but Mr Bannon had pushed back, basically saying he was protected by executive privilege. Now, that's the right of those in government to keep confidentiality with the president, but this was dismissed by investigators because Mr Bannon had been fired by Mr Trump in 2017, so he wasn't actually an advisor. And so now he faces up to 2 years in prison for dismissing the summons, which he now says he'll appeal.
The White House says the US is looking at whether it can send American-made fighter jets to Ukraine in the conflict with Russia. The move comes as the Russian invasion is about to enter its 6th month and fighting rages in eastern Ukraine. White House spokesman John Kirby says while the US is making preliminary explorations into feasibility, the move is not something that would be done immediately nor in the near term. Such a change would constitute a major increase in US support for Ukraine, with the United States already providing nearly $12 billion in security aid to Kiev. Iranian state television is reporting 17 people have died in flash flooding in Iran's drought-stricken southern Fars province. The governor of eastern city of Esteban says heavy rain swelled a nearby river. Rescue teams have saved 55 people trapped by the ensuing flash flooding, but at least 6 people remain missing. Victorian police say they're concerned after an increasing number of serious accidents involving motorbike riders. A motorcyclist died overnight after colliding with a car at the Narrawarren-Cranbourne Road in Narrawarren in Melbourne's southeast. Another motorbike driver died after a collision with a truck at Southbank on Friday. Superintendent John Fitzpatrick says it's worrying to see so many fatal accidents involving motorbikes.
We've had 31, which is 6 above where we were at the same time last year. I keep saying we're talking about numbers, but there's people and families that are never going to have a loved one sitting around the table anymore.
Wildlife experts are hailing a successful overnight operation to move 17 critically endangered eastern bristlebirds from New South Wales to their new home in Victoria's Wilson Promontory National Park. It'll be the second colony for the ground-based bird, some of which were rescued from far eastern Victoria during the devastating 2019 bushfires and sent to New South Wales. You're up to date with ABC News. You can get more news from our website at any time. Just head to abc.net.au/news.
Conversations.
Spend an hour in the life of someone else.
You go very raw and you feel a whole layer of skin has been peeled off.
Someone who has seen and done remarkable things.
I didn't stand up next to a safe with a doctor's stethoscope and pick the numbers, but we used to open safes, yeah.
Hear the latest conversations weekday mornings from 11 on ABC Radio.
Or anytime on the ABC Listen app.
If you love sport, we've got the podcast for you. ABC Sport Daily, it's your daily sports conversation.
Well, Pat, I've never seen someone so excited to play a game of rugby league.
He would have liked to have, shared the claret jug and a bunch of beers out of the claret jug with his dad, but I guess that'll just have to wait until he gets back to Brizzy.
I feel like I'm just getting started and there's so much more to come. There's no doubt about that. I can jump higher. There's no doubt about it. So let's see what happens.
ABC Sport Daily. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Tui to Cam Guthrie. Handball inside 50 to close. Back to Dangerfield, who kept running. Shrugs the Jonas tackle. Snaps from 20. Finishes magnificently. That's the class of Patrick Dangerfield.
Down the line, Rowan, strong mark ahead of Aaliyah. Wheels around straight away. Sends it high. And Hawkins one out. Too much power, too much strength. Took a chest mark away from Cleary, and that time there was a push that was legal. Hawkins kicks it over the umpire's head. No problem at all. Picked up by Hawkins. One way, then the other. Now he goes back to the right foot. And then he went back to Brian Myers. And that's on the arc that he loves, and he's kicked it. O'Connor flanking him was Tui. Hand pass over the top. Close in the forward pocket. Close kicks a goal.
And again, they've turned it over on the siren. Oh, that is the worst possible kick you could do. That is a woeful disposal from Burton. Isaac Smith, who has a powerful left boot as the footy. On the halftime siren, Isaac Smith can come in from 55. Oh, it's a massive kick. Splits the middle for Geelong. And heading into the major break, it's a game-high 34-point lead.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Geelong running rampant in the second quarter at the Adelaide Oval, 6-1. As you just heard, a game-high 34-point lead for the visitors. Port Adelaide's season on the line at 8-9. Geelong at the top of the table at 13-4, looking to consolidate that spot and eyeing off a 15th minor premiership if they can hold off Melbourne in the back edge of season 2022. Hasn't been a great day for footy in terms of margins. Hopefully tonight can buck that trend with the Q Clash up in Brisbane and also the Western Bulldogs hosting Melbourne at the Docklands. Everyone listening on local radio and Sport Digital, you'll be headed to the Bulldogs-Demons game with Corbin Middlemass, Matt Clinch, Mark McClure, Adam Ramanaskis. If you do want to hear the Q Clash, jump on the AFL app. Here at the Adelaide Oval, Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you. Those earlier games I touched on. Hawthorn defeating North Melbourne by 46 points at the MCG. The Hawks led pretty much for the entire contest. It was never really any sort of battle for the Hawks. Gunston kicked 5. Tom Mitchell had 32 touches, so North Melbourne not able to back up that big win over Richmond the week prior. A similar story at the SCG. The Swans had a massive start against the Crows. They kicked 9 goals in the opening quarter. Never really looked back from there. They won by 33 points. Lance Franklin, Will Hayward with 3 goals each. Sam Berry the best for the Crows. He had yet another double-digit tackle count, 14, alongside 24 disposals. So Sydney, with their eyes on a top 4 finish, the Crows, meanwhile, just trying to get towards 7 wins and show that they can at least equal last year's total, but it's looking unlikely. They'll probably have to beat West Coast and North Melbourne on the run home to do so. Also around the country in the NRL, the Raiders defeated the Warriors 26-14. 27 minutes played between the Panthers and the Sharks. Cronulla up 10-0. And also in the Athletics World Championship, some big news for Australia. We've won our second gold medal. Kelsey Lee Barber has defended her title in the javelin throw. She becomes only the second Australian to defend a World Athletics title alongside Kathy Freeman. She had a huge third-round throw of 66.91 metres to win the gold at the World Athletics Championship. So congratulations to Kelsey Lee Barber there. The text line 0437 774 774. Mark in Adelaide says, "Hi Aaron, what is your best estimate of the crowd?" I'm thinking 30,000. It's not impressive, but it's not low either. The same margin we've had for most of the year, Crossy, to be honest. The best crowd we've seen is the showdown in round 2, and since then it's been around that 30,000 mark. So
I suspect the next biggest crowd we see will be
the showdown again. Also on the text line, Grant in Hobart says, "Hi team, enjoying the call. Question for Campo, do you think Carlton will make the finals? And if so, how far can they go?"
I think they can definitely make it. I think they've shown enough that they can actually squeeze in that bottom 4 somewhere in there. My only hesitation is what that back 6 looks like. Can they hold up? Can they get Wiedering back? Obviously, McGovern's back in, so they're trying to look for another intercept mark. But against some of these teams, we're looking at the top of the table team at the moment. Can they put enough pressure up the field, Carlton, and win enough ball to score? And can they defend, some of those full ground transitions? But yeah, I definitely think they can squeeze in there this year.
Stephen, your tip for the second half? Do you think Geelong hold on from here?
Yeah, it's hard to see Port, 34 points down. They've only kicked 35 for the match, so they just need to work hard to get within maybe 2 or 3 at three-quarter time and give themselves a chance in the last quarter.
Geelong by 34 points, 11-3-69, plays 5-5-35. The second half underway on Grandstand AFL. Neil Cross to kick us off.
Well, since the 2007 Grand Final, Port's won just 4 games against Geelong. So that's in 20 matches since that horrible day. And they don't look like they're going to win this one. They got first possession out of the middle, though, through Drew, and then he gave it to Butters after soccering the ball. And Butters down to half forward was a good kick for Charlie Dixon, just inside defence, inside the 50, just inside the fence too. So Dixon will go back, and the man on the mark stand is De Conning, standing 49 from goal. Dixon is hard against the boundary as he backs up to take his shot. This will have to be every bit of a 55-metre kick. He's arced it across the goal face and close, and up went Georgiades, couldn't bring it down. Finally knocked through by the Cats defenders for the minor score to start the second half, 50 seconds in. And it's a 33-point game in favour of the Cats.
Good to see Mitch Georgiadis out there, considering he had that ankle tweak the back end of the second quarter.
I dare say he's had a little bit of help at half time.
So the Cats have the footy in defensive 50. Zach Guthrie heads wide, finds Smith, and now De Koning, left half back. Broadcast wing with Geelong kicking to the Cathedral, northern end, left side of your TV radio dial. De Koning retreats to defensive 50, finds the milestone man Jack Henry. Switch on through O'Connor, now to right half back. Mark taken out wide. Kolajasny looking for some options, gets a lead from Dangerfield, pops it up, floated in the air a bit too long. Bergman got a hand to it, Wines couldn't keep it in play. Boundary throw-in to come at left half forward for the Power. Jack Paqueta downstairs.
Well, you guys picked up on the Miss Georgiades one, but at Geelong, Shannon Neal is preparing to enter the game, the Geelong substitute. It looks as though Reece Stanley has been subbed out of the game. Not exactly sure with what yet, but we'll find out and let you know.
Meanwhile, the ruck contest on the other side of the ground. It comes from Houston. Forward hand pass found Finlayson off his right foot. Just scrubbed the kick along the ground. Picked up by Powell Pepper. Around on the right foot and goes bang from 50. Great finish by Sam Powell-Pepper, his second of the night. And there's a little bit of a heartbeat for Port Adelaide. 2 minutes in, third term. Geelong 11-3-69. Port 6-6-42 on Grandstand AFL.
Looks really confident, Campo, in his role, doesn't he? Knows what he has to do out there, and there was no hesitation when he picked up that kick. He was getting clear and kicking for goal, so really well executed. Well done, Sam Powell-Pepper.
Excited to see Shannon Neal if he does get subbed into the game. He's only played one game this season, had 7 touches. That was at Cardinia Park, playing there on debut at such a young age up against the Crows. Turns 20 in a couple of days. 202 centimetres, so he can ruck, but they do prefer him as a forward. Either way, it opens the door for Dixon and Finlayson. In the middle, Finlayson does win it down against Blitzarves, and Crumbs gets the clearance. Long ball to the top of the goal square. Marshall leading out. Knocked it to ground. Rosie's gathered. De Koning's down behind the footy. Rosie gathers, spun in the tackle, turns it over. Kick central to Duncan as De Koning makes his way to his feet. And the Cats have it in the left back pocket. Henry will clear up towards the broadcast side. One-on-one. Selwood gets rid of Houston. Couldn't take the mark. Front and square. Blitzarves tried to give it back to his skipper who lost it. Wines is bowled over. No free kick. And Amon forces Selwood over the boundary line to be tossed back into play.
A better start by Port, owning the ground, owning the territory, trying to build the pressure. As you said, Steve, just get within striking distance. They don't have to hit the front quite now. It's still plenty of time.
Ollie Wines in game 199.
Is that right? He's nearly 200.
Yep. Next week, 200 for him and for Tom Jonas, the skipper. As the ball comes back into play, the man mentioned Wines over the ball, off the ruck contest, forces a bounce down, or at least a ball up as we have these days.
Isn't it funny, some guys you sit there and go, geez, he hasn't played, he's a bit slower, but some of them just add up quick, don't they?
Off the ruck contest and forward by Burn Jones. Well done by Boak, slipped a hand pass. And Butters inside 50 with a kick. Charlie Dixon puts up the big hands and pulls down a mark. 25 out, straight in front, and slightly to the left.
As you said, Campo, make the Geelong defenders defend. You know, one-on-one. Dixon's a hard man, particularly when you're playing him from behind. So just a quick kick in from Butters and, stood his ground and took a really good contested mark.
And that's his second for the quarter as well.
So from good range, Charlie Dixon comes back, leans on the kick and sends it through for a goal, and it's a perfect start to the second half for Port Adelaide. Second since half-time, second major since half-time. Port 7-6-48. Geelong 11-3-69. So a 21-point margin 5 minutes in.
Well, on top, contested possession 7-2, 4 inside 50s to 0, winning the clearance battle 4-0, and they've gone in 4 times for 3 scores. So really efficient.
Jack Paqueta downstairs.
So it's been confirmed that Reece Stanley has been subbed out of the game for Geelong with a knock to his knee. Don't know how serious it looks to be at the moment, and considering they had a 203-centimetre ruckman as their substitute, seems a little coincidental, but I'll let you guys be the judge.
So as I said, Neil, probably more of a forward. He's been dominating the VFL, 28 goals from 12 games, but has been used in the ruck. He averages 4 hit-outs, but has the height, so...
That doesn't fill me with confidence.
Doesn't fill you with confidence, but, you know, he's tall. He can get it done. And that being said, Port Adelaide aren't exactly using a recognised ruck either. It is the Cats by 21. In the middle, they'll get the clearance, the power again. Kick around the body, heading towards the 50 from Wines. Off a couple of hands, head over the footy. Georgiadis gives it to Dixon, 45 out. Uses boat, back to Georgiadis. He's all alone from 30 and converts 3 straight for the power. Ripping start to the second half for Ken Hinkley's men. We've got a game back on our hands at the Adelaide Oval. Geelong 11-3-69. Port Adelaide advanced to 8-6-54. 8.5 played in the third on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Scott Camporelli and Stephen Williams.
Well, and it's all come from stoppage, Steve. I just had a quick look. You know, they've dominated field position. Once again, Geelong haven't had an inside 50, but so it's been centre bounce in, stoppage again in. 3 goals to 3 goals won for the quarter, all the score coming from stoppage. So sometimes you can be a little bit too cute for yourself if you start rucking around. Not that Chris Scott ever does that, does he, Steve, over the journey?
So back in the middle, Georgiadis has gone to the bench, and it'll be Neal over the top with a knockdown. He follows up on the ground. He's got it in his hands. Wasn't a great hand pass. Through comes Finlayson and just hacks it off the ground inside 50. De Koning overran it. It fell for Guthrie's, and he was just slammed over the line in a tackle, and we'll get a throw in. Powell Pepper doing the job. So 25 around from the goal face in the left forward pocket. Port Adelaide attacking again.
Port fans finding their voice as well. Great atmosphere at the Oval. Dixon wins it down against Blitzarv, slaps it again to Drew. Handball wasn't clean. Cam Guthrie cuts it off, racing through. Handball out towards the boundary line. Rosie can cut it off. He's spun down in the tackle. The Geelong have numbers though. Holmes wide looking for Stengel. Sockers off the deck towards the square. Jonas is waiting. The Port skipper uses Burton, who kicks all the way back to the defensive edge. Cleary, and now switching across half-back, Aaliyah. He'll mark on the painted defensive 50. Fans getting restless already. Aaliyah will head up towards the logo western side. Finds Burton just behind it. Powell Pepper offers a lead in front of the benches. He marks uncontested.
Port Adelaide now playing the short game, trying to move around the Geelong defenders. Not this time. Powell Pepper played on, went down the line. Crunch went the pack, cleared away eventually by Smith into the centre square for Geelong. Picked up by Hawkins, slipped a hand past to Stengel. Nobody in front of him in terms of Cats, so he had to go sideways. He picked up Cameron. Cameron arcs to the left foot near the boundary, sent it goalward. Buse tried to take the mark in the goal square. Or Rowan, sorry. And maybe he stopped it being a goal. I don't think so. I think he
should have marked it, shouldn't he, really?
He should have marked it. Back with the flight. It's gone through for the minor score. 16 the margin in favour of Geelong.
She's got some wheels rolling, and he put 3 or 4 metres on Burton.
2 goals for the evening so far, but just couldn't capitalise on that one. Straight up the spine go the power to a pack. Dixon with a couple of touches. McEntee races through. Handball out to Powell Pepper. Heads to the 50. Marshall's outnumbered. Uses the body on Henry. Trying to reel it in at the back. Blitzarv's coming through. Marshall just has to escort it over the line. Did well considering the odds against him. Boundary throwing to come. 40 out. Right forward pocket for the power.
That was the result Port needed. Marshall was outnumbered, so just bring it in, stoppage, get the players in there, see what you can do from a stoppage.
16-point lead to the Cats. Dixon takes it out of the ruck. Blitzarves wraps him up. He got a handball clear under pressure. Straight to De Koning, who loses it in a foul tackle. Geelong have numbers. Duncan picks it up, uses Buse, then Selwood. Pierces it to Hawkins in the centre circle. Over the top to Stengel. They're out, the Cats. Stengel races through half forward from 48, heads all the way. It'll bounce through. Great finish from the former Crow. Outstanding year for Tyson Stengel, who's certainly an All-Australian contention. His 49th career goal puts Geelong back up by 22 points. 12-4-76, plays Port's 8-6-54. 10 played in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Well, you should never get scored out of your forward 50 stoppage, Steve, and Geelong have done it. I mean, that's a real issue for Port. You know, I looked at before at half time. 17 intercepts they had, and they went down coast to coast from their D50. That's a big number. And once again, that was from stoppage, and it was just a chain of uncontested possessions again, straight up the guts. And what a finish. He just caresses the ball, doesn't he? You see some guys that try and kick it too hard. He just dropped it.
Knew exactly what he was doing, didn't he? Just really nice feel.
9 goal kickers for 12 goals, the Cats, and they've got the break out of the middle again. It's down inside half forward. Jonas took it away, gave a hand pass to Houston, then he by hand went to Aaliyah, and then Aaliyah just dropped it wide for Amon. This is a situation where the Cats will want them to kick down the line. Amon, considering his options inside, forced to play on now and goes down the line. And Dixon does well to get it to the ground. Now a little soccer out in front of him. Now between the legs with a little bit of a tap. Over the ball, slid a hand pass to Drew. He's in trouble. Forward hand pass was lucky. He found McEntee. He gave it to Gray. He was swamped by a couple of Cats and the ball taken away.
O'Connor uses Tui. He heads through the corridor up to half forward. Power have numbers and Jonas can come across as Aaliyah prevents Rowan from flying.
They're out here, Red.
Power skipper switches to Bergman. All alone at left half forward. He spots Rosie. Plays on. High into the 50. 3-on-3. Georgiadis dumps Henry. Can't claim it. Front and square was nearly lost it. Power Pepper gathered. Snaps wide. Tumbles over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play.
That's where footy IQ, he didn't need to do it. All he needed to do was Willem Drew was there. Just handball the ball just straight there and he would have been able to kick straight through. But better Port Adelaide. Even number contest ahead of the ball again, Steve. Still allows them to keep it in their front half.
Cats by 22 points. Ball back into play. De Koning came from, or rather Blitzarves came from the back. Hand passes away. Georgiades to Bergman. Bergman looked inside. Gave a hand pass straight away to Myers, and now they've taken it away. Geelong, they're all the way to half forward with a long kick. Hawkins almost took the mark. Cleary following after him. No, it will be a holding decision from the marking contest. So just ahead of half forward. He drives it into the forward pocket. Dangerfield comes late. Hawkins kick gave Dangerfield a chance. He went after the ball, got it to Cameron. Then a hand pass back to Myers. Myers squares it up, looking for Rowan. It's punched away forward by Jonas. Found Duncan. He lost it in the tackle. Through come Port Adelaide with numbers, but umpire will say, give it to me.
How did he dispose of that, Duncan? He essentially, his prior was actually stood there and actually drove into the tackler.
Definitely braced for the contact. Ball up to come inside attacking 50 for the Cats. Dixon won it down straight to Atkins. Handball over the top in hope. Was cut off by Amon, who lost it at his feet. Heading wide, Rosie can pick it up. He hands it out wide to Pal Pepper, who fends away Blitzarves with ease. Handball back to Amon. He'll head up the western wing. 2-on-1 favouring the Cats. Should have been taken by Neal coming across. Lost it. At the back, Hughes is wrapped up by Gray. And over the boundary line, it'll be tossed back into play. So Shannon Neal out on the ground for the Cats. Reece Stanley subbed out of the game with a knee issue. Jack Buchetta seems to think it's not too serious, but Neal gets to play his second game, the South Fremantle product, and he's in the ruck now for the Geelong Footy Club.
Towering over the top of Finlayson, takes it away in the ruck contest, slipped the hand pass to Tui. Now he's got ball in hand after receiving from Guthrie, and the kick goes down the line and immediately an intercept from Burton at right half back on this broadcast side for the Power. Burton looks inside. Cats have schooled that pretty well. So Burton looks for the lead of Dixon on centre wing. Ball comes to ground. Picked up by Boak. Well done. Off to Farrell. He didn't quite strike the kick that he wanted. Sends it towards full forward. Georgiades' ball lands on the ground. And well done by Kolajasny, who got it to Henry, and away come the Cats.
Clearing kick around the body up to right half back. Selwood was the target, couldn't get there in time. Jonas cuts it off against Cameron. Looks inside, finds Burne-Jones in the square. Geelong by 22 points at the moment. Burne-Jones looks to switch. Out to right half forward, Carl Amon will mark. We're midway through the third if you're just joining us on Grandstand AFL. Amon pops it short, finds Burton. Too far out to score. Had a lead from Marshall, didn't use it. Instead pops it up, right forward pocket. Georgiadis a bit late to start his run. Nearly claimed it. Kolajasny did enough. Knocked the ball over the boundary line. Right forward pocket, Riverbank stand ends. Geelong 12-4-76. Port 8-6-54. 15.5 played in the third.
Two other games already this afternoon. Sydney over Adelaide by 33. Hawthorn over North Melbourne by 46. Back into play. Dixon comes, meets the ball, takes it out of the ruck contest. Forward to Gray, and inside the square, he kicks the goal. Great finish from Robbie Gray, but all the hard work was done by Dixon in the ruck. So Port get one, 9-6-60. Geelong 12-4-76. 16 down, third term on Grandstand AFL.
Even made that one look pretty hard, Robbie, didn't he?
He's having his best night, but they're... I love the fight. They're still believing Port Adelaide. I mean, you can sit here and knock them around, what they're doing and what they're not doing. But, they could have easily folded at half-time, Steve. But they've come out, 10 inside 50s, 5 scoring shots, 4 goals, 1, keeping the game in their front half and actually really asking Geelong a question now. So, game on.
Important goal for Robbie Gray as well. He'd been goalless in his last 5 at 34 years of age and out of contract. So there were concerns about whether he could impact the scoreboard.
But he struggled tonight.
He has, yeah.
So he's got one on the board. Handy assist by Charlie Dixon, that being said. 16-point lead to the Cats. In the middle, Finlayson didn't fly. Neil won it down straight to his opposing ruck, who waited for it. Finlayson wheels. Unpressured, heads inside 50. Dixon trying to claim it. De Koning didn't have eyes for the footy, knocked it away. Tapped by Henry towards the boundary line. Power players won't deliver it and won't get it. Boundary throw-in to come. 30 out, left forward pocket for the Power.
Well, he almost had it again, Dixon. He's had 7 disposals. He's had 4 score involvements and kicked one himself. So
he fancies himself, doesn't he? One out with De Koning. And as he should, a big, strong, experienced player against a rookie.
Now opposed to Neil in the ruck, and he flipped it out towards Gray. Gray somehow got a hand pass. Wines was there. Georgiades put his head over the ball, and he was taken down straight away by Atkins for the umpire to call for it. So Power worked the ball to near in front of the goal face as it goes down again. Selwood gets it off the ruck contest, tackled, got it out. Coming through was Atkins, cleared it towards the boundary. It'll come back through Burn-Jones for Port Adelaide, but De Koning gets met late. Just as he took the ball maybe by Dixon, made him earn it, as they say.
Well, that's his 5th intercept mark. So Colin Dashney and him have been the ones. Colin Dashney had 4 in that first half.
De Koning looks inside, defensive goal square to Henry, pops it short, finds Kolajasny. Still about 25 out from the defensive goal. Spots a lead, finds Selwood, who's coming from the Geelong skipper. Big night for him. He could match Dick Reynolds' record for wins as captain. Kick was clean to Myers. He didn't use it well at all, though. Port can mop it up through Bergman. Gives it to Rosie from 45. They capitalise. McEntee is finished. And Port bring it back down to a 10-point game. 12-4-76 to 10-6-66. Port Adelaide charging in the third. Once again, it's going to be an interesting finish at the Adelaide Oval.
McEntee's first goal in AFL football.
Yeah, just great pressure again. We saw the Cats chip the ball around in that second quarter and just exit out of Port's back half pretty easily, but it was just that kick didn't hit its target, and all of a sudden the pressure was on the Geelong players. Port were able to win it back, and great turnover goal.
Well, they've kicked 4 goals, Steve, from their front half. They've kicked 2 from stoppages. They've kicked 3 from stoppages and 1 from a turnover. So we spoke about the field position, whether they can get that back. Game on now.
Haven't been this close since the 11-minute mark of the second term. So you just creep towards time on in the third term. Port Adelaide well in the action, and out of the middle again. Finlayson sends it long doing the ruck contest, and the umpire's going to bring it back.
Tunnelling.
And it'll be Marshall to take the free kick. It fell over the top of his head, and the umpire said he was helped under it. De Koning ran with him.
Didn't look much, did it? When you see a lot of players have used their hands and pushed and that.
Well, he's coming at such speed, Steve, isn't he? You don't need much to sort of propel yourself forward under the ball.
A little bit off the ball happening with Powell Pepper.
Yeah, he's not going to take a backward step, or
he might want to take a backward step just at the moment.
When the goals kicked before
when you've got a shot at goal from barely 15 metres out. In comes Marshall. And just a little chip. That's enough. Port Adelaide. They've got it back to a 4-point game after they trailed by 34 points at half-time. We're into time on in the third quarter. Geelong 12-4-76. Port Adelaide 11-6-72. Neil Cross and Aaron Bryans with you on Grandstand AFL, where your experts are Stephen Williams and Scott Camporelli.
Well, the game's flipped on its head, Steve. It was a turnover game that second quarter, with Geelong being able to score off that. out of that source for that quarter, but and they kicked 6 goals. Port Adelaide have flipped it. They've said, well, whether they consciously did it, let's turn it into a stoppage game. Let's see if we can lock it up. They've kicked 5 goals and Geelong have kicked the 1, so they've actually been able to not allow Geelong to transition the ball, and they've scored themselves off some stoppage dominance.
4-point game, 6 goals to 1 this term for the Power. In the middle, they might get another clearance. Tapped on by Boak. McEntee head over the foot, he couldn't gather. Powell Pepper busts through but loses it late. Dangerfield stuck her arm out and stole
That's
it.
holding the ball.
Caught in the tackle. Umpire circles and says ball up.
Brownlow medalist.
Half forward for the Power, trailing by 4. Great energy at the Adelaide Oval. Some hope in the home fans. Butters gets a kick around the body. Too shallow for Wines. McEntee got it wide to Powell Pepper. Couldn't reel it in. Tui mops it up for the Cats. 1-2 with Kolajasny. Left back pocket. Kicks across the goal face. Very smart. De Koning was alone in the defensive goal square. Geelong can reset from as far back as you can get.
Bit of poise from De Koning. Then he sends it out this broadcast side. Henry at the back. Had the ball knocked away at the last moment by Finlayson. Buse picked it up. Blitzarves had trouble getting the disposal as Boat came at him. Now away from Atkins with his kick, his tumble punt down towards Myers' logo on centre wing. Ball comes to ground. Cam Guthrie came through, just kicked it wide. It's picked up by Myers. He cuts inside at left half forward, then sends it to the top of the goal square. It's a skidding kick towards the right forward pocket in the end for Geelong, and Farrell came through and just took the ball over the boundary line about 10 metres from the behind post. Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Dan Houston is down behind, playing the hands of trainers. Looks as though he copped an accidental knee to the head in the marking contest. Riley Bonner, the sub, is warming up.
Looks incredibly groggy as well as he makes his way to the bench. Geelong already activating their sub. Shannon Neal on for Reece Stanley. Play continues. Toss back in scoreboard pocket. Bounces through a couple of hands. Farrell slapped it. Hawkins trying to charge through. Gets it out to Stengel, who snaps on the tight angle skyward. Just doesn't have enough arc. Miners score for the Cats. Lead up to 5 points. 12-5-77. Port Adelaide 11-6-72. Time on in the third. And the Power head to the western side.
First score since the 10-minute mark of the quarter for Geelong. Bergman with the mark at half-back. Umpire spotted a free kick. There's a block, I think.
How can that umpire that's front on overrule the umpire that's side on for a decision like that?
So it'll be a Geelong free kick to Tui. He's outside 50. He arcs around, sends it right to the goal face. Up goes Cameron, couldn't take it. Off hands Cleary, just handballed into space. Myers picked it up, flipped the hand pass towards Stengel, gave it back to Myers on the snap from the right pocket, and he's narrow with the kick. Minus score. 6 points in favour of Geelong. 23 minutes gone in this third term.
It's an ordinary kicking action, Myers, isn't it?
It is, very.
Really. I mean, every time I see him play, he butchers it. So he must be doing something that Geelong like. But
Burton pops it short to Cleary. Brian Myers has had a rough season. He's been goalless in 10 of 14 games.
I can see why, the way he's kicked it.
Cleary heads to the western side. Packer waits just forward of the logo. Marshall from behind outmarks Blitzarves.
And this is a perfect one here, guys. They can't go quick. So you can see De Koning's the one down the line. And now that's drawn him out. It's a great kick because now they've got even numbers ahead of the ball.
They went short to Wines. It drew to Koning. They escaped through Greater Boak inside 50. The kick sat up in the air. Georgiadis couldn't get a fly at it. Close in the hole, cuts it off.
That was poor by Farrell.
Geelong now out wide. Kolajasny looks inside. Spots Smith just outside defensive 50. Isaac Smith pops it short, nonchalant. It's a bit dangerous. Selwood got there first. Burne-Jones on his tail. And Geelong skipper at half back. Looks to head across defensive 50 to Henry.
De Koning's out down the line, but he goes shorter, Henry, to O'Connor. So O'Connor right on defensive 50.
Good shift by Port Adelaide.
They've moved across the ground, cut it off. So now O'Connor's got to go down the line and long one-on-one, and too strong. Hawkins just pushed away from Cleary and then got 5 metre break to take the mark. Logo centre wing. Beautiful little kick from Hawkins. Top of the 50. He found Blitzarves, and it's open up. Blitzarves across the goal face. Smashed away by Aliir, who came late. Picked up outside 50 by Dangerfield off his left foot. Overconfident, didn't hit the pass. Intercept by Amon, and he's got Dixon free on centre wing.
Oh, Charlie. Powell Pepper's forward, but he's got 3 against him. Dixon at centre wing can't keep the ball moving, so he heads wide instead. Nice little dinky kick closer towards the square. Burton will look for the switch across half-back. Spots Aaliyah all alone. Powell Pepper's still 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 in the forward 50. Port Adelaide slow to move forward. Out on the eastern side. Farrell now has it. Plays on, then kicks back. Spots Burn-Jones on the logo eastern side.
So this is what Marshall's the one that's got to get back here, because Blitzhavs is the one who's deep. He's the one that's just going to intercept mark in front of Charlie Dixon here. But Marshall's up at centre-half forward. He needs to reset and make that an even number contest.
Aaliyah went back to Burn-Jones, who went sideways eventually into the centre square. And at the back end, he found Jonas. And now he just drops it wide at right half-back, broadcast side Burton. Down the line near the interchange gates, Amon.
And this is good too, Steve, because what it's doing is it's zapping Geelong in terms of their energy. So when they do win the ball back, they're actually out of breath.
Inside the centre square, good kick from Amon. And he found Butters, who goes inside 50 looking for Dixon. It came to ground, the umpire said. De Koning interfered. Now, was it play on advantage? No, it'll go back and it will be a free kick.
In his heyday, Robbie Gray would have just snapped that one. There's no way he would have stopped, but smart play.
There's not a lot in that free kick, to be fair, but I love that. That for me, that's great coaching, because Ken Hinckley's obviously thought that's what we need to do. We didn't do that. That was their game plan early, and they just lost their way a bit. But that says to me that the players are listening, which is a great sign for Port Adelaide supporters, that they're actually still listening to the coach, and they actually worked that really well, Port Adelaide. Well done.
Charlie Dixon, 45-degree angle, 30 metres out, kicks the goal, his second of the evening. And what do you know? We've got a game tie. It's 12-6, 78 apiece. At the 27-minute mark of the third term, after Port had trailed by 34 points at half-time. What a game we've got. What a finish we can look forward to. Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Port Adelaide's Dan Houston has gone down to the rooms to have a concussion test. We'll likely get an answer to that test at three-quarter time, but it didn't look good.
Yeah, Port Adelaide, they certainly had good numbers with contested footy, inside 50s in the first half, but the Cats were just more efficient. But as you said, Campo, they've adjusted, playing a little bit like they were playing in that first 20 minutes of the first quarter, and back into the game. So, yeah.
Well, they've been patient, Steve. So they just chipped them around. They moved it around, and then I did see Marshall go back and reset the ground. And then when they can go in there, they have got guys that can win contested ball.
Scores level, 7-goal to 1 quarter for the Power. Finlayson wins it in the middle. Dangerfield contesting with Drew. Both went to ground. Trying to wrench it out is Blitzarms. He can't. Ball up to come. Inside Geelong's attacking half.
Finlayson's been terrific in this quarter.
He has, yeah. Well, him and Dixon have been the...
Yeah.
Tossed up, Neil in the ruck, wins it down for the Cats. Didn't know really where to tap it to. Went straight to Burton, kick smothered, ricocheted to Burn-Jones. He spirals it up through the spine. Powell Pepper leading out, should have taken it, lost it. Free going his way anyway.
Yeah,
they've taken the advantage. Dixon has marked, 40 out, played on, it doesn't matter because he'll chip it short. Great composure, finds Boak. 35 out, slight angle to the left. Port Adelaide could hit the front for the first time since the 25-minute mark of the opening quarter.
I tell you what, the roof will come off at three-quarter time if he kicks this and they roll into this. What a quarter.
Yeah, we said, Campo, get within 3 or 4 at three-quarter time.
They're going to hit the front.
Yeah.
Geelong with some incredible footy in the second quarter, but Port have answered right back. Travis Boak. He's missed some clutch goals this season in tight games. Can he complete this one from 45? Set sail. Listen to the Oval erupt. Port Adelaide are in front. A 6-point lead off the back of an 8-goal to 1 quarter. 13-6-84 plays 12-6-78. 30 minutes played in the third on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli and Stephen Williams.
Oh, well, once again, it's just the Charlie Dixon. I mean, it was a half chance. You could probably argue the game had stopped, but I'm glad they did play it. But, you know, this guy again, Travis Boak, He's the best runner on the ground, Steve. I actually watched that documentary last night. What a wonderful player. What a wonderful person. What a wonderful human being. What a great player to have around your footy club for Butters and Rosie and these young guys coming through and still performing at 34.
Well, Jeremy Cameron put what we thought was Geelong in front for good right on quarter time, but Port Adelaide have answered and come back, and out of the middle again a kick from Amon, who finds Dixon just outside attacking 50, the right side of the centre square.
Barrel.
Dixon has a look, has a think. He's just going to go with a drop punt. He's hit it well. He's hit it well. It's carried. It's a goal. No. Just away to the right. And it's a 7-point margin now for Port Adelaide as we close in on three-quarter time. 31 and a half minutes down.
Well, 19 inside 50s, Port Adelaide, for 8 goals too. Unbelievable. You said, Steve, they only kicked 35 for the first half.
Tui with a massive rose from the defensive goal square. Neil does well in the pack. Marks it for the Cats. He's at right half back. The sub on for Reece Stanley. Dan Houston in the rooms for the Power at the moment. Hands it off to the running Tui, who kept going. Up to right half forward through the eastern wing. Finlayson gets front position on Blitzarves. Cuts it off for the Power. Finlayson and Dixon rucking tonight against now Neil and Blitzarves. The Power opting to leave Bryn Teakle in the sandful and Razio Fantasia. Now looking to switch through defensive 50. Finlayson to Cleary, then Aaliyah. Right back pocket. Calls for some options. Geelong have set up a nice zone ahead of the footy. Aaliyah will have to bang it long towards the logo. Dixon's got to run at it again. Had to spoil late, did well. Knocked it over the boundary line right in front of the benches. Will be tossed back into play with Port up by 7 points.
We talk about when players are in flow, when everything's going well. Charlie Dixon's right in that wheelhouse right now. He's had an unbelievable third quarter.
11 disposals for the third quarter from the big man. Off the ruck contest, Port Adelaide go forward with a hacked kick. Duncan had all day to get rid of the ball. Now there's a high tackle on Burn Jones. It'll come back. Neil a little high on his opponent. And that's it. 3 quarters down. You couldn't foresee this. Port Adelaide trail by 34 points at half-time. And they have an unbelievable third term. And the crowd's up and about here at the Adelaide Oval. It's three-quarter time, and Port Adelaide 13-7-85. Geelong 12-6-78. Stand by for a finish on Grandstand AFL.
There's certainly a frisson of excitement at the Adelaide Oval. A big finish coming up. The goal scorers at three-quarter time for the Power. 3 to Georgiadis, 2 to Dixon, Marshall and Powpepper. Singles to Gray, Boak, Farrell and McEntee. For Geelong, 2 to Hawkins, Rowan and Cameron. Singles to Smith, Holmes, Stengel, Myers, Dangerfield and Close. Ripping run home of footy to come. The Q Clash and the Western Bulldogs and Melbourne at the Docklands to come next. We'll preview that very shortly. But for now, on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital, with the Cats down by 7 at the Adelaide Oval after leading by 34 at half-time, this is Grandstand AFL.
We are one.
But we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream, as big with one voice.
90 years of the ABC.
I am, you are, we are Australian.
90 years yours.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Picked up by Powpepper. Around on the right foot and goes bang from 50. Butters inside 50 with a kick. Charlie Dixon puts up the big hands and pulls down a mark. 25 out straight in front. Charlie Dixon comes back, leans on the kick and sends it through for a goal, and it's a perfect start to the second half for Port Adelaide.
Georgiadis gives it to Dixon, 45 out, uses both, back to Georgiadis, he's all alone from 30 and converts 3 straight for the Power. Ripping start to the second half for Ken Hinkley's men. Pierces it to Hawkins in the centre circle. Wow. Over the top to Stengel, they're out the Cats. Stengel races through half forward from 48, heads all the way, it'll bounce through. Great finish from the former Crow.
Dixon comes, meets the ball, takes it out of the ruck contest, forward to Gray, and inside the square, he kicks the goal. And it'll be Marshall to take the free kick. It fell over the top of his head, and the umpire said he was helped under it. In comes Marshall, and just a little chip, that's enough. Butters, who goes inside 50, looking for Dixon. It came to ground, the umpire said De Koning interfered. Charlie Dixon, 45-degree angle, 30 metres out, jigs the goal, his second of the evening.
Dixon has marked 40 out, played on, it doesn't matter because he'll chip it short. Great composure, finds Boat, Travis Boat from 45, sets sail, listen to the Oval erupts. Port Adelaide are in front.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
A standing ovation for the Port Adelaide Football Club, who have come back from a 34-point half-time deficit to lead by 7 at three-quarter time. A grandstand finish coming up on ABC Sport. Looking forward to tonight as well, the Q Clash at the Gabba. If you want to hear that game, jump on the AFL app. For everyone with us, though, on local radio and Sport Digital, you'll be headed to the Docklands for another ripper. The Western Bulldogs hosting Melbourne to preview it for us. Corbin Middlemass can join me. Corby.
Thanks, Az. Second meeting of these two teams since last year's grand final. Of course, they met on opening night and there was plenty of spice in that encounter as well. After a summer of discontent from the Western Bulldogs, but that's long in the past. It's all about the 2022 journey for both the Demons and the Bulldogs tonight. Depending on what happens in your game there, Aaron, there's a chance that Melbourne could be a game clear on top of the AFL table if they can win here tonight. Meanwhile, for the Western Bulldogs, if they win, they will be in the 8 when we go to bed tonight. So high stakes for both the Bulldogs and the Demons. There is a late change. Jake Lever hurt his shoulder last week in the red centre against Port Adelaide. He won't be playing, so Jake Lever is a late out. Adam Tomlinson in the end holds his place. So Tomlinson in for Lever. The two Medi-subs, Toby Bedford, of course, again for the Demons for a 10th time this year. And Robbie McComb is the sub for the Bulldogs. There's no late change in the other game between the Suns and the Lions. Good calling, Az, in his final term.
Cheers, Corby. Can't wait for it. And as he touched on, the fact that Geelong could lose this one, Melbourne could jump into top spot. The Cats hoping for their 9th win in a row. The last time they did it was 2011 when they won the flag. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide a game and a draw now behind Richmond. They need to win this one or basically their season is over with a tough draw to come. It is Port Adelaide by 7 points, 13-7-85 to Geelong's 12-6-78. Campo, Steve, where does it go from here?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a complete flip in terms of how the game was played. I mean, Port Adelaide was still in front from a stoppage point of view, but I just went through the numbers, Steve. They won contested possession, uncontested possession. They won the ground ball battle. They tackled well. 19 inside 50s to 7. They got on top with the clearances. That was the big thing. They kicked 6 goals, 2 out of that source for the quarter. But they actually dominated field position. So time in forward half, once again, 64% to 36. I mean, that's a big number in the modern day game, but Geelong just had no answers, to be fair. I mean, we don't often say that, and particularly what we saw in the first half. So over to you, Geelong, how you're going to play this, but Port Adelaide got their tails up. This could go down to the wire.
And they used the ball well. 83% kicking efficiency in that third quarter to Geelong's 68. So that was a marked improvement for them.
Shannon Neal into the game for Reece Stanley in that third quarter. Dan Houston has been subbed out with concussion. We'll head down to Jack Paqueta shortly, but it means that Riley Bonner has been activated for the Power. 7-point lead to the home side. Clean bounce in the middle. Blitzhouse with the double tap for the Cats. Busting through is Atkins. Quick clearance as it bounces through. Smith. Cameron's at the back. Paddled it away from Jonas. Can mop it up in the left forward pocket and snap a magnificent goal. The tightest of angles, and Jeremy Cameron makes it work. That's why he's one of the best in the league. 3 for Cameron tonight. Back down to a 1-point game. Gee, it only took 27 seconds for Geelong to strike. They're 13-6-84, Port 13-7-85. They've silenced the home crowd, but certainly made it interesting.
Well, it's been staggering. I mean, Port aren't a great centre bounce team, but they've had 15 said about 15 clearances, and they've had kicked 4 goals for from that source. Geelong have had 9 from there, and they've kicked 3 goals 1. That's unbelievable in terms of what the modern day game. But once again, the class players brought to the front. Tom Jonas got a rough bounce
Shocking
to be
bounce,
there,
wasn't it? Yeah.
but what a great finish.
Statistically, fourth quarter for the Cats, who don't have a losing quarter, but statistically their best performance is the fourth quarter. That was a good start. Out of the middle again, coming off the back of the square. Atkins got the hand pass towards Guthrie. He missed him. Boak gave it away to Finlayson towards the goals. And it was Henry who came across, game number 100, took it away. Gave a hand pass forward to Zach Tui, had a look. Now he's turned it over. Picked up by Pal Pepper. He turned it over as well in the tackle. Tui will get an opportunity from Atkins to get it outside defensive 50 towards the boundary line. It might come back again. It will. McEntee, inside forward 50. Pal Pepper almost pulled it down. And the Cats clear again.
Cam Guthrie around the body. Dangerfield flew but couldn't reel it in with one arm. Slides in on hands and knees. Dumped in the tackle from Bonner. Was it high? No, umpire's letting it play. And eventually calls for the ball up.
It's going to be a little lucky, Dangerfield. He keeps diving on the ball.
Dragging it in, yeah.
So ball up between centre wing, left half forward for the Power. Knocked down by Blitzavs to Dangerfield. Tried to fend away. Bonner was caught. Just dropped it to his boot. Trickles towards the 50. Jonas has Cameron on his tail. Jonas goes to ground. Cameron stays up. Hands it back to Myers. Geelong inside 50 again. Myers looking for Duncan. He's spored away by Farrell. Aaliyah lost it at his toes. Goes again. Handball dangerous to Farrell, who's wrapped up by Stengel. Ball up to come. 20 out. Slight angle to the right for the Cats.
It'll be Hawkins in the ruck. Want to make bets? He tries to take it straight out of the ruck. Hawkins stands under it. This time he actually taps it into space. Oh, it's picked up, and it's a goal from Smith.
That's
not quite.
Very close.
And so scores are level again with that point. So we're at 13 goals, 7 apiece. 13-7, 85, each of 2. And we're 2 minutes in to the final term.
Tight snap there. It looked like it may have just snuck between the posts.
It did, didn't it? I thought so as well.
Scores level. We love a dramatic finish at the Adelaide Oval this season. Clearing kick from the Power, finds Pal Pepper. Did well. Took the mark and then is sat on by Smith, who took a while to get up, so Pal Pepper will race away. The kick is too wide. He's butchered it, trying to get it to Boak. Out on the full. Free kick to Geelong. Selwood heads back to left half forward. Sat up for Kolodjasny. Pal Pepper makes amends and spoils it over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play left half forward for the home side.
Good boy. Good sign of maturity there, Steve.
Yep.
So I mentioned those games since 2007. Port Adelaide's only won 4 times against Geelong, all 4 at the Adelaide Oval. Out of the ruck contest, Aaliyah marks it as it was cleared away by Blitzavs with a quick left foot kick inside defence, inside attacking 50. So Aaliyah with the mark, and now he drops it short, dangerous. Inside with the kick. Bonner takes the mark, holds onto it, and then just chips as the lead up there, that time by Rosie. So he's still inside defensive 50, fakes a couple of hand passes, then long kick out to this broadcast side. Cameron came late, but Jonas was strong under the ball in game 199.
Makes you earn it, doesn't he? Jeremy Cameron, he makes you earn it.
Well, he's obviously copped it enough from the defenders.
Jonas points long and heads down the wing to the logo. Marshall in the pack couldn't take it. Coming through, Zach Guthrie used Atkins. Now Tui in front of the benches. Heads to right half forward. Nice kick for Buse. Split the 2 power players. Takes the mark at right half forward. Bit too far out to score. Backs up. He has Tui on his left. We know he can load up. Centres his kick about 30 out. He's looking for Smith. Didn't get a clean run. Burgoyne had a hold of him. Aaliyah at the back, wrapped up in the groin tackle. Couldn't get away from him. Tackled over the boundary line. He's lucky enough he got there. Boundary throwing to come, because if he stayed in the field of play, you're right, Campo, he was gone.
Oh, well, he tried to fend off, and then he coughed it up when he was over the boundary line. That's holding the ball any day of the week.
Yeah, that's twice that he's tried to get away from Gary Rowan.
Left forward pocket for Geelong, attacking the Riverbank stand-in. Off hands in the ruck contest, picked up eventually by Hawkins. He chipped it out to Selwood. It was only a 4-metre kick. Selwood's kick then was smothered, picked up by Guthrie's. Cam Guthrie's hand pass didn't find the target properly. Atkins now with a big tackle.
He's holding the ball.
And umpires played holding the ball. The disposal didn't come from Farrell cleanly. And so Atkins will go back and just slightly to the right from 30 metres out to have a shot at goal.
You're better off just hanging on to that and going to the ground with it.
Yep, I feel the same. Like in those situations, sometimes the ball pops out. Umpires play incorrect disposal. If you get turned around like that and hold on to it, the umpire will say ball it up.
Yeah.
So here's a chance for Geelong to take back the lead. Atkins jogs in, hits, and they take the lead by only a point as Atkins sprays the ball. Cats in front by a point after 6 minutes of the final quarter.
Haven't had a lot of the ball, Geelong. 275 possessions. That's pretty low for them.
1 point lead to the Cats. Dinky little pass out of the defensive goal square from Bonner. Just found Jonas. Plays on and heads to the eastern side. Up on the logo, Dixon in front position. Powpepper comes to assist, went straight through Charlie's hands. Waiting at the back is Buse. 1-2 with Selwood, ran into a brick wall. Wines was waiting for him, got it out. Cam Guthrie to Blitzavs. Now to Duncan, centre half forward for the Cats. Finds Stengel. Got some space and takes the mark. 20 out, slide angle to the right.
Just starting to win those ground balls, those loose off the contest, getting their hands on it, the Cats, and holding the ball inside their forward half and putting a lot of pressure on Port defence. And using the ball really well.
Outstanding season for Tyson Stengel, certainly putting his hand up for All-Australian selection in his first year for the Cats.
He'd probably prefer him with a snap, but he should kick this.
He's a lovely set shot.
For his 50th career goal, it means so much to Geelong, and he delivers. The Cats by 7. They've held off the power. Plenty of time to play, though, in this final quarter. Geelong 14-8-92. Port 13-7-85. Great to have your company for a thrilling finish on Grandstand AFL.
Well, they've only had 39 inside 50s, Geelong, for 14-8. On the flip side, Port Adelaide have dominated that stat, 51 for 13-7. So we spoke about it in that first half that they've been really efficient when they've gone forward. But as you said, Steve, they've just been able to win that field position battle at the start of this last quarter, and then once they get some handball receives through that corridor, he's a smart player, Tyson. As soon as he saw Mitch Duncan, he just spat out the back really quickly and then asked a question of the defender, which way are you going to go?
Port Adelaide need one now. They certainly need a centre clearance now. Out of the middle, Finlayson knocks it down, follows up so hard on the ground. Ball gets forward of the pack. Drew missed it and then went back after it after he tried to soccer and then tapped it forward. So they're in the front half of the centre square where the umpire will come in, take the ball from Boak and put it in the air, and he does so straight away.
Finlayson knocked it down, Boak off the bounce, reeled it in, gave it to Bonner, inside 50 for the power. Gray gets a run, Guthrie, Zach back with the flight, thought he was paid the mark, last minute lost it. Spills inside the arc. Dixon got his knees taken out and receives the free kick. He was running onto the footy, met heavily by the Cats. Dangerfield low to ground again. And Charlie Dixon to receive it. 45 from home, slightly right of centre.
Yeah, that's the one that they pay all the time.
And not ideal for Charlie. He's coming off that ankle for the majority of the year.
Big night for Charlie Dixon.
Oh, he's been superb.
Needs to kick this.
Disposal 21, 2 goals to his name as well. He's been impactful all around the ground. They need a major, the home side. Dixon from outside 50. It's a huge kick, but it's too far left.
It was a bit tired. Look, the big fella.
6 points the margin. Geelong up 14-8-92. Port Adelaide 13-8-86. 10 played in the fourth on Grandstand AFL.
Isaac Smith plays on from fullback, brings it out this broadcast side with a long kick. Finlayson, umpire said it was touched in the contest, but he got away from it anyway. Gave the hand pass to Bergman, who was arcing around. Bergman sends it inside 50, and Georgiades rises up in the middle of the pack and takes a huge grab. And he's just slightly to the left and he's only about 35 metres out. Every single time he flies for a ball, he threatens to do just what he did then.
Yeah, we saw him do a similar mark against the Dockers in a couple of weeks ago and went back and blew the kick, so he needs to go back and kick this one now.
Pessimistic, Stephen.
No, I'm just
stating a fact.
Stating a fact.
So he'll start his run from outside 50, leans back on the kick. Oh, he's in form. Oh, it hits the post. He was confident off the boot, and it just went to the left and hit the post. So Port Adelaide bring it back to a 5-point game. So Geelong by 5 points.
They get the footy back, though, at right half forward. McEntee 1-2 with Burgoyne. Back to Drew, then Gray. Burgoyne has 3 on him. Handball over the top is cut off by O'Connor. He turns it over. Gray paddles it off the deck to Butters. Spots Farrell alone, 50 out. Races through traffic and is caught at the last minute. Just fell over. No free kick. Geelong can clear anyway. It'll trickle towards the boundary line. Aaliyah cuts it off. Shakes Duncan. Heads to right half forward. Holmes comes across. The kid cuts it off for the Cats to kill any momentum. Farrell's down behind play from that slip.
Holding his right knee.
Yeah, he is too. No, it's his left knee, I think.
So it's the knee that's not strapped then. He's got some problems with that. Meanwhile, Aaliyah almost takes an intercept mark as the Cats go down the line. Ball held in. Drew picks it up. Hand pass back. He goes to Jonas, the skipper. He sends it wide towards the boundary line on the eastern side. Got a bad bounce. Went over the line. There was a good bounce in the end because the umpire didn't say it was insufficient intent. So we get a throw in just ahead of centre wing, eastern side of the ground for Port Adelaide. Farrell stayed out there.
Lucky to get away with that, actually. We've seen less obvious ones than that go.
Official attendance is 30,937. So there you go, Mark. I think I nailed it.
Oh, he's patting himself on the back.
Boundary throwing doesn't go too far. It's not back to the paint, so it'll be tossed back in. 5-point lead to the Cats. Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Yeah, Kane Farrell is staying out there. He still looks very proppy on that knee. He's just trying to line up an Isaac Smith here on the wing, but still looks as though he's going to be struggling for the rest of this term.
The history isn't great for Farrell. An ACL in his right knee last year. He's only been back just over a month. Tossed back in. It beats both rucks. Bergman puts his head over the footy. Holmes wraps him up. Ball not going anywhere. He'll be tossed up right half forward for the Power, trailing by 5. Still plenty to play in this final quarter.
Only 2 wins this season over the top half sides of the ladder. Cats come away from the stoppage eventually to Duncan off his left foot to half forward. Rowan took an excellent mark. Now he arcs around on the right foot, plays on, sends it high, looking for Hawkins. Jonas came across the front and knocked it away, and then soccered off the ground by Bergman, who follows up. Henry released the ball. Umpire said that was all fair. It went to Smith inside 50 again. Hawkins made his way to the ball, couldn't get it. Myers came in from behind, soccered towards the goal face. Geelong was appealing that, and Dangerfield wanted it to be reviewed, but it's through for the minor score, and that's what the goal umpire signalled. And it'll be Bonner taking his time to bring the ball back in. You've seen the replay, Campo.
Yeah. That was good work to bring it in quickly.
That's a goal.
Aaliyah was diving down. Dangerfield stuck a bird out on the goal line.
That's a goal.
It's been deemed a point, and Port Adelaide have rebounded. Butters heads out the eastern side. One-on-one. Rosie's beaten. Great soccer off the deck down the line for the Cats. Heads through centre wing. Picked up by Rowan. He loses it in the tackle. Butters on the 45. Finds Wines. Handball off to Bergman. Out wide. Drew is running by through centre wing. Up to right half forward. His kick is awful. Hit Tui. Had a bit of pressure. Rowan kept chasing. And Geelong have the footy, but their kick is not great either. Tui inside with looking for Cameron. Couldn't take the mark. Pal Pepper cuts him off. Gray comes through. Uses Marshall. Sold some candy. Senders his kick to Amon.
Sam
good
Pal
boys.
Pepper. Outstanding.
The intensity from the midfield ball. Sam Powell-Pepper did enough. Forced the turnover. And Carl Amon has a chance to level scores once again.
And Todd Marshall just showing his ability to kick both sides of his feet. We've seen Kane Farrell get caught a few times with not much ability on that non-preferred.
He has 1 foot out the door, but Port fans will love him if he gets this. Ripping kick from 48. Scores level again. 14-9, 93 apiece as Carl Amon finishes. 9 minutes to play in the fourth. Port Adelaide's season still alive. Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams, your experts on Grandstand AFL.
Well, both teams are fatigued. I mean, this has been a frenetic play. As you can see, there's some skill errors starting to come in into the game, Steve, with some decision-making and the options that they're trying to hit forward. But once again, Sam Powell-Pepper, he was outstanding there. I was literally right behind him. He took off at 100 miles an hour and he body-spoiled the Geelong player and it just bobbled out. But as you mentioned, Steve, the ability to marshal just to think his way through that, just stop, prop, and then kick it on his left side of his body, and a great finish by Amon.
Coming into that kick, 4 goals, 12 for the season. So a great finish from Amon under a lot of pressure. Port Adelaide get the ball forward out of the contest in the middle, and now Cam Guthrie just soccers it forward to the front end of the square for Geelong. Big fight on the ground, taken away by Bonner. Gave it to Boak, just handballed it forward, picked up there by the big ruckman Neil, and he just hand-passed it out wide for Geelong. Port Adelaide, though, with pressure. Finlayson, who's been really good again in the ruck tonight. To centre wing, he's got it in space. Powell-Pepper down to half-forward. Pulled in by Rosie at half-forward. He goes all the way looking for Dixon, who was out the back of De Koning. And De Koning managed to get the fist to the ball and knocked it over the boundary line in the left forward pocket for Port Adelaide.
Well, it was actually the right option because we're sitting right behind, but he just didn't flight it enough.
No.
He just needed to flight it and just a little bit more to the right of where he kicked it, and Dixon would have actually marked that.
Toss back in left forward pocket. Dixon slaps it down the throat of Butters, who feeds it to Powell-Pepper. Snap from 30s wide right, but it gives them the lead.
Well, they just showed the Dangerfield one again on the line with Aaliyah. That's definitely a goal.
Oh, that's contentious. Oh, no. Port up by 1. It should be the Cats by 5. 14-10-94. Port Adelaide, Geelong 14-9-93. 8.5 to play as Geelong head up towards the western wing to a pack. Through Neil, spills to the back to Burn-Jones, kick smothered by Blitzavs, busting through Rosie, got it to Burn-Jones, kicks up to half forward, should have been taken, it's spilt by McEntee, he becomes the tackler. Cam Guthrie can escape to the centre circle to Myers.
Myers held up in the centre circle, breaks away straight as soon as he's let go, drives it long inside forward 50. Aaliyah's there with Dangerfield, somehow it comes to ground, Dangerfield rakes it in. Gets it out of the contest. It bounces back to him, and the umpire says that's holding the ball.
Well, that's the 4th time, I reckon. He should have been pinged a couple of times before that.
Burton to take the free kick, relieves some pressure for the Power. Comes this broadcast side near the interchange gates. De Koning almost took it. Gray kept it in brilliantly. Hand pass into Georgiades. Good vision centrally with a kick. It was intercepted. Well done by Atkins. Came across McEntee. And Geelong with the ball in the back half of the centre square.
So Atkins heads to the western side in front of the benches. De Koning will mark just behind centre wing. The Cats were incredible in the second quarter, but feels like they've just been playing keepy up since.
Charlie Dixon's hobbling just in front of us, Aaron.
Hughes now has it. Dixon will stand the mark. Still centre wing. Hughes heads long for the Cats. Up to right half forward. Henry's alone in front position. Finlayson was kept out of it by Neil. Jack Henry, game 100. Pops it centrally for the Cats. 20 out. Bergman in the hole. Juggles and takes it. Intercept mark for the Power. Dangerous exit though. Too short. Nearly cut off. Well, Duncan came through but slipped over.
He's just got to find a mark here. He doesn't have to kick it forward. He just needs to find a mark.
Powell-Pepper at the back gathered, stopped, didn't know what to do with it. No options, sat it up for Boak. Tossed out by O'Connor at the back. Down the line, big tackle laid in the back. Free kick going Geelong's way as McEntee drives Myers into the turf behind centre wing.
Little doubt about that one. Myers now just looking for options. Nothing presents. He plays on. Around on the right foot. Drives it long towards half forward. And Finlayson comes over the top. Oh, and then his kick is smothered effectively by Amon as he goes centrally. Gray under pressure. Hand pass wide for Aaliyah was pretty good. Aaliyah couldn't get a clean kick away. Was taken down a great chase by Cam Guthrie. Got him. 45 from goal. Boundary Down to Jack Paqueta.
Charlie Dixon has come from the ground. The doctors have taken off his left boot and are looking at his ankle.
Thanks for that, Jack. Problems for the Power in that, and problems out on the field right now. Cam Guthrie with a look at the goal face. He's got the option of a hand pass and he gives it to Duncan, and he goes with the right foot kick closer to the boundary than Guthrie, who obviously wasn't confident of making the distance. Duncan, though, is astray. Minor score, and scores are level again. 14-10-94 apiece, and we've crossed over into time on in the final quarter.
5 minutes on the clock, so maybe there's another goal in the game.
Great to have your company for a great finish on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camperelli, Stephen Williams. Aaliyah from the left back pocket looks to switch. Burton through defensive 50 to right half back. Finds Bergman. Marks uncontested just outside defensive 50. Bergman looking for some options. Doesn't have a lot ahead of him. In the end, heads to centre wing. Pau Pepper's outnumbered. Did enough against Blitzavs to knock it over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. Still to come, the Q clash at the Gabba. And the Western Bulldogs in Melbourne at the Docklands, where you'll all be headed. Coming up next with Corbin Middlemass, Matt Clinch, Mark McClure, Adam Ramanauskas. Toss back in. Neil took it out of the ruck, caught in the tackle, but got it to Atkins. Tumbling footy, picked up by Stengel. Users close. Geelong inside 50. Close stops. Centres his kick to the top of the goal square. Hawkins back with the flies. Pulls it in. The tomahawk on the tight angle. 10 metres out. Will have to come around on his left. Big moment. But he knows how to finish in clutch games. Hawkins opens the angle, off a step, has 3. And puts Geelong up by 6. 15-10-100, plays 14-10-94. 22 minutes played in the final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
How important is the next centre clearance going to be now? Port Adelaide have got Finlayson in there. They really have to get this into their forward line quickly, put some pressure on the Geelong defence.
3 lead changes and 3 times scores have been level in the final term. The Cats have their paws in front by 6 points. Jack Paqueta on the boundary.
Charlie Dixon back on for Port Adelaide, going down to the forward line after rolling his left ankle in a marking contest.
I like what you did there, Crossy, with the pause. Very clever.
Down in the middle. And the clearance almost by Boak. He had it in his hands. It came to Burne-Jones after it was slapped away. Picked up by Duncan. Shot a forward hand pass looking for Selwood. And Burton takes him down and the umpire says that's okay. Play on. Ball towards the boundary line close. Picked it up. Tackled. Lost it. Stengel came in. He's picked up. Amon took him over the line and the umpire said throw it in. 40 around from the goal face. Right forward pocket for Geelong. It's tight and it's tough, and it's been a great second half after the Cats led by 34 points at half-time.
Burton's got away with one there, I reckon, for the hold.
Definitely.
Toss back in. Hawkins against Finlayson. Finlayson wins it down, looking for Boak. Had Selwood on him. Can't gather. Whistle. Free kick. Geelong.
Payback.
High tackle. It'll go to Tom Hawkins. The man who put them up just moments ago. Could have 4 at the Adelaide Oval. Man on the mark will be 45 out. 45-degree angle to the right. And all of a sudden, silence seeps into the Adelaide Oval. So much hope for the Port Adelaide Football Club. Tom Hawkins could dash it right here. 3 minutes to play in the final quarter. Tom Hawkins with a set shot to put them up by 2 goals. Starts at right half forward. Long run up from outside 50, straight as an arrow.
That's a great kick.
Tom Hawkins knew from the moment it left the boot it was going home. 12-point lead to Geelong. 16-10-106. Port Adelaide 14-10-94. And they're running out of time to chase down the Cats.
Jeez, just had it on the replay.
Yeah,
there's not
kick.
much in that. Both players are going for the ball.
Remember, Campo, Dangerfield had a goal that was taken away from him, so It probably balances it out.
We're in with karma now, are we? The footy karma.
Footy gods. They get you.
So, Port Adelaide, they already faced a tough task to make their way to the finals. They probably needed to win 5 games. And that's all they've got left. But now they might be faced with winning 4 and trying to organise some superior percentage if they drop this one. In the middle of the contest going again, Cam Guthrie comes through, runs out towards centre wing, kicks it back inside forward 50 with the left foot. Towards the pocket it goes. Jonas picks it up at the back, gave it to Burton with a forward hand pass. Burton had to dispose of it, got it outside 50. Burn-Jones had it. Wines gave a hand pass wide for Burton again. He just junk kicks it down the line towards centre wing. Dixon's there, picked it up off the ground. Looked for Farrell, found Amon. He just barrels his kick towards forward 50. Atkins knocks it out of the forward 50, picked up by Powell Pepper. Got a kick on the turn, Rosie. It was only a short kick. Rosie turns, goes to the goals. Across the goal face in the forward pocket. A metre or 2 from the behind post. Left forward pocket for Port Adelaide. They need one now.
Set up for Connor Rosie, that one. He should have kicked that. That wasn't hard.
Not sure why he played on, Stephen. Mirrors of shades of last night's game with Richmond and Freo. Time running away from the Power, down by 12. Toss back inside 50 for them. Off hands, Butters trying to bust through, lost it. Atkins gathers, handball, cut off by a hand of Amon. Tui can gather. Kick along the deck, trickles its way to Elia. Handball over the top. Turn over to Smith. Now back to Tui. He kicks in hope, just bouncing through centre wing. Over the boundary line. Umpire says toss it back in. He flirted with the boundary line on that kick. Benefit of the doubt to the visitors.
Well, we spoke about the ascendancy around stoppages. It's now reversed again, Steve. So Geelong 12-3 this quarter, really getting on top. And they've kicked 3 goals from that source out of their 4-4.
Geelong by 12 points, 27.5 down in the last quarter. Hawkins pushing his way towards the ball. Hand pass out to Cam Guthrie towards the line with a kick as he was tackled. And it's taken over. We'll get another throw in. Just 5 or 6 metres from the interchange gates towards Port Adelaide's end of the ground, attacking that scoreboard end in the final term. Hawkins in the ruck opposed to Finlayson. Hawkins using his power again, got the ball in the hands, released the hand pass. Finlayson follows up. His hand pass was better marginally. Stripped of the ball was Burn-Jones. Stengel runs away. Inside half forward, that's a great kick. Rowan led up. He was the only option available, and Stengel hit him.
Rowan at right half forward. Called to play on. He'll chip it into the right forward pocket. Port have numbers. Stengel nearly brought it down. Spilled front and square to Boat. Goes to ground, trying to rip it away from Wines. Neither got a disposal eventually. Comes out to Burn-Jones. Then Burton across the defensive goal space. They have to go. Farrell in the right back pocket. Geelong by 12. Takes a bounce, a fend off, and then through the spine. He's looking for Gray. Buse with a double fist, and then claims it as it sat up in the air. Tried to spoil, paid the mark. That might just ice the game for the Cats. Buse wide, finds O'Connor. He's at right half back. They'll happily chip it around here. De Koning at centre half back.
30 seconds, Aaron.
Back to O'Connor. Geelong headed towards a 9th straight victory. Port incredibly brave, but it might just be curtains now. Down the line, great pack mark taken by Cameron. Forward of centre wing for the Cats as fans make their way to the exits. Cameron, long into the right forward pocket. Geelong win. Port pushed and pushed, but the team at the top of the table gets it done again. They're mirroring their 2011 premiership run. The Cats by 12.
Greatest team of all. We are Geelong. We're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. At home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark. Down at Gardenia Park.
3 lead changes in the final quarter, but it was Tom Hawkins who iced the game with back-to-back majors in the dying stages. Geelong 16-10-106 to Port Adelaide's 14-10-94. Tomahawk had 4, Cameron 3, 2 to Stengel and Rowan, singles to Smith, Holmes, Myers, Dangerfield and Close.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dawn, down at Gardenia Park.
The Cats consolidate their spot at the top of the AFL table. And as I touched on, 9 in a row. The last time they did that, they won a flag. The goal kickers for Port Adelaide, 3 to Georgiades, 2 to Dixon, Marshall, Palpepper, singles to Gray, Boak, Amon, Farrell and McEntee. It was the Cats by 4 at quarter time, then 34 at the half after a 6-goal to 1 second term. Port Adelaide answered back with 8 goals to 1 to take a 7-point lead. Geelong struck first in the final quarter. The lead changed hands, but it was Geelong who got the job done by 12 points at the end. In about 5.5 minutes, we'll take you to the Docklands for the Western Bulldogs in Melbourne. If you want to hear the Q Clash, jump on the AFL app. But just before that, quickly, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams, you caught your breath. What did you make of that contest?
I feel bad for Port Adelaide because they actually played some really good footy, but and they really challenged Geelong, but it was just the maturity in that last quarter of Geelong probably in the end. They got thrown a challenge. I'm sure Chris Scott would have thrown the challenge. They got beaten up round the ball, in particular in that third quarter by Port Adelaide, and they responded. Dangerfield, Guthrie, Atkins around the ball, and then Hawkins and Cameron went to work. I mean, that's essentially what happened in that last quarter. So 13 clearances to Geelong 3. That lost them the field position. And then Port Adelaide, for majority of the night, just couldn't really score off the counter-attack. So most of their scores come from the stoppage source, Steve. So brave effort by Port Adelaide, but at the end of the day, Geelong just too good.
Yeah, just a little bit too much class. You know, as you said, Hawkins bobbed up, kicked the last 2 goals of the game to put them 1 goal in front, and then the final margin of 12. So, yeah, that's when you get champion players at your club, you rely on them in those situations when all's on the line, the game's there to be won, and it was Hawkins that was able to, just one-on-one. He's just too good for Clury. Just big body, pushes him out the way, takes a mark, and then goes back. And 4 straight is a fantastic effort. When you're playing away, to be able to go to a game at Adelaide Oval. We saw that last one. He kicked from probably 50 metres. In the fourth quarter, to be able to go back and just ping that one straight through the middle just shows what class he's got.
Decent run of footy for the Cats. It started with a win over Port Adelaide back in round 10. They've beaten the Crows, the Dogs, the Eagles, the Tigers, North Melbourne, and most recently Melbourne, Carlton, and now Port Adelaide, with the Dogs, St Kilda, Gold Coast and West Coast to come. So they'll be certainly fighting for their 15th minor premiership at the top of the table at the moment. We'll see what Melbourne has to offer in a moment against the Western Bulldogs. Port Adelaide, meanwhile, you think that might just end their season. They've got Collingwood, Richmond, Essendon and Adelaide to come, but with so many teams in a chasing pack, with the Tigers now ahead by 2 points thanks to the draw, Port Adelaide is still a game behind St Kilda and the Western Bulldogs, who in turn are that draw behind Richmond. So it's just getting further and further away from them, but there's still a chance, still a little bit of hope.
Mathematically,
they're still in it.
That's a story that they'll sell. Don't worry about that.
You're 3-2-1, the ABC Footballer of the Year.
I had a look. It was a pretty tough one to do.
Yeah. That's why I was pointing to you, Cam.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. You do the no-brainers. Thanks for that. I went Charlie Dixon, 1 vote. I thought he was outstanding, particularly for majority of the game. I mean, he had 23 possessions. 15 of those were contested. He had 8 marks for the game, 12 score involvements, and kicked 2 goals to himself. I thought he was probably the most dominant Port Adelaide player on the ground. I gave Tom Atkins 2 votes. I thought he was outstanding. He's had a wonderful year.
He was, I agree with that.
Come into the midfield. He's had 14 contested possessions, 23 all up, and got involved with 7 tackles and 5 clearances. So he was probably there. And I gave Tom Hawkins 3 votes when he kicked 4 straight, as you mentioned, Steve, in a really tight game. He had 11 score involvements as well. So not only was he hitting the scoreboard, he's bringing other players into the game, and obviously Jeremy Cameron kicked the 3 and Stengel kicked the 2, so he had a hand in some of those as well. So 3 to Hawkins, 2 to Atkins and 1 to Charlie Dixon.
Happy with those, Steve?
Yeah, I thought that was. I thought Atkins in particular was fantastic, and just a couple of little cameo efforts. Stengel stood up when it needed to be done, and Brad Close, he didn't.
Particularly early, his first half was great.
His chasing and tackling and score involvement, so I thought he had a pretty good game as well.
90 seconds till we take you to the Docklands, so we'll probably just miss the song, but we'll send Jack Paqueta down to get an interview. Hopefully we can play it in the next game at the Docklands. Western Bulldogs and Melbourne coming up next with Corbin Middlemass, Matt Clinch, Mark McClure and Adam Ramanaskis, as I mentioned. The Q Clash as well on at the Gabba. If you want to hear that, jump on the AFL app. Earlier today, Hawthorn defeating North Melbourne by 46 points at the MCG. Jack Gunston kicked 5, Tom Mitchell with 32. The Swans defeated Adelaide by 33 at the SCG. Lance Franklin, Will Hayward with 3 goals apiece. Sam Berry the best for the Crows with 24 touches and 14 tackles. Here at the Adelaide Oval, though, it looked like Port might be able to get the upset, but Geelong once again getting it done in the finish. 12 points, 16-10, 106 to 14-10, 94. Tom Hawkins had 4 goals and 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Zach Tui with 27, Cam Guthrie, Tom Atkins with 24 each. For Port Adelaide, Mitch Georgiadis had 3, Carl Amon with 25 touches and a goal, Ryan Burton with 24. Dan Houston subbed out with concussion, Reece Stanley with a knee problem as well for the Cats. Looking ahead to next week, Geelong playing the Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide playing Collingwood at the MCG. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank you for your company on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. Big game